First of all, we'll do a roll call, please.
Matt Elliott,
Present.
Jon Draper, Tal Rancourt,
Present.
Pam Brewer,
Present.
Jack Conley.
Here.
Thank you. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda and the minutes if you want to do it all in one.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda and approve the minutes of January 6, 2026.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Now would you poll the board, please?
Pam Brewer,
Yes.
Tal Rancourt,
Yes.
Matt Elliott,
Yes.
Jack Conley.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. All right, next thing is presentations. Citizens on the agenda. Anybody? Don't think so. All right. Action agenda, septic to sewer program.
Hang on a second. After this presentation, we're going to have a motion to accept the program or not. We're just giving you the presentation. It's pretty in-depth. This is starting from scratch for septic sewer grinder pumps. So I just want to give that background, but after the presentation, I'm going to ask for approval to move the program on. Jennifer Cooper, she is our new septic to sewer coordinator, and she's been working on this program since December with Martin County and other communities. So we're trying to get a good foundation on this when we start this project and work the bugs out. So here's Jennifer Cooper.
Good afternoon, everyone. So I'll just give you a little upfront. It's going to be a little on the long side, and it was intentionally written for council, so for next week. Just want to be clear on that. All right, good afternoon. I'm Jennifer Cooper, the town's Septic to Sewer Program Coordinator. Today, I'm excited to formally introduce Connect to Protect Lake Placid, a long-term structured plan for protecting our water resources while moving forward in a clear and consistent way. Connect to Protect is more than a project. It's a phased, criteria-based roadmap that brings structure, fairness, and predictability for council, staff, and residents. It allows us to move forward deliberately, neighborhood by neighborhood, with defined standards and transparent communication. Today, I'm going to walk you through how the program works, how areas will be selected, what residents can expect, and what council approval enables. I'll also clarify what this program is not, so there's no confusion about its scope or intent. Connect to Protect is about protecting Lake Placid's future with a plan that is organized, transparent, and built to last. I appreciate the opportunity to present today. So today's presentation has three purposes. First, to explain why this program is necessary. Second, to outline how it is structured and implemented. Third, to request council approval to formally establish the Connect to Protect Lake Placid framework. No property owner is being asked to take action tonight. The presentation today is about understanding the structure and setting the framework for a responsible path forward. So Lake Placid is located within the Lake Okeechobee watershed, which operates under a Basin Management Action Plan, otherwise known as a BMAP. Communities within this watershed are a priority for nutrient reduction efforts and funding alignment. This designation supports our eligibility for grants, supports program justification, and provides long-term planning authority. This conversation did not start overnight. In fact, it has been going on for quite some time. Across Florida, communities are addressing excess nutrients that contribute to reoccurring blue-green algae blooms. These harmful conditions affect recreation, public confidence, property values, and local economies. Our Connect to Protect Lake Placid is about proactive planning, responding to documented conditions with a structured, transparent approach rather than waiting for problems to escalate. Many of you are aware Lake Placid, Lake June, along with all of our local lakes, are part of the Lake Okeechobee watershed. What enters our groundwater and surface waters does not stay isolated. It moves through connected systems over time, ultimately making its way to Lake Okeechobee and beyond. The state maintains a public, real-time algae monitoring dashboard so residents can see current conditions for themselves. This program is built on documented data and transparency, not assumptions. Why we need to take action now. The town has invested in an advanced wastewater treatment plant and infrastructure. The new plant is nearing completion, and we are looking forward to the next step, implementation and connections. Without a structured connection plan, that investment does not fully achieve its purpose. Florida has taken legislative action and allocated grant funding because protecting water quality is not optional. It is a statewide priority. For Lake Placid, this is about protecting our future. It protects water quality and public health. It addresses aging septic systems before they become a larger issue. It supports long-term environmental sustainability, and it preserves the quality of life that defines our community. This program framework aligns with state law. Florida statutes allow municipalities to require connection to central sewer once service becomes available. The town's ordinance simply provides a clear local process for implementing this authority, including written notice and a defined compliance period before any timeline begins. State law also establishes future nutrient reduction benchmarks that communities within the Lake Okeechobee watershed must work toward over time. Those benchmarks currently extend into 2030. This program positions Lake Placid to move forward in an orderly, phased manner, rather than facing compressed timelines later. The question before us is not whether we respond, but how thoughtfully and proactively we do so. When we refer to the program, we mean a regional utility authority framework, not just construction. It includes planning. This is at a minimum of a 10 to 15-year program.
Do we have that, is that written down somewhere, that program? Can we get a copy of that? Has this been done yet, or is this to be done? This program?
The actual program, this is what I'm covering tonight.
Okay, this is the program, okay.
So Connect to Protect is the program.
Okay,
And I do have a lot of supporting documentation for that.
okay.
All right. So our program includes planning. Again, this is at a minimum a 10 to 15-year program, which consists of funding coordination, resident education, communication, installation, and state reporting. The Connect to Protect Lake Placid program is designed to support residents, not to surprise them. Our core principles. The program is built on a partnership with property owners, criteria-based selection, clear communication before, during, and after work, ultimately providing a full-service turnkey installation. Every phase and every project will follow the same standards and expectations.
Hasn't that already been decided by town council, though?
Which part?
The areas that are designed for this, designated for this, excuse me.
No, town council gave a direction for grants, the areas to do, like Tomoka, Simpsonville, which is like June Road. This is gonna be for hooking up homes and getting rid of septic tanks. So this is gonna be for the LPRUAC area, town, plus outside, around the lakes. So we can start contributing to the $40 million grant for the new plant.
Okay.
So yes, the goal of this program is all residents that are currently on septic systems is to move them onto our wastewater treatment plant and reduce the nutrients and help
Okay.
clear up some of our waters and.
Okay.
But it's only for converting septic, existing
Yes.
septic to sewer.
Existing septic where infrastructure is there.
So there's no promotion of forward growth.
No, not this one. This is part of the $40 million grant. So they were given that to remove septics around the lakes, to get the nutrients down.
And there is money for that, correct? For like, didn't we say 30 houses or something?
Yes, we received that 319 grant is for grinder stations on private property and abandonment of stations. So this, we're gonna have to get some extra funding to put some more infrastructure in, because a lot of the pipes around the lakes are just water right now. We need to put sewer pipes in. But this is a program, we had like 33 stations from that 319 grant. We're gonna pick a spot, we haven't done it definitely yet, and then we're gonna start moving, get rid of septics. It's gonna be a long process.
So there is money for the citizens to hook up, or there isn't?
There is, that's another part of this she'll get into. There's a grant for systems on private property, but there is gonna be a cost sharing, but we're not, once we get the program going, then we have to figure the numbers out and grants. So this is just what the program's gonna look like, and we're going for the approval from LPRUAC here to take town council recommendation to get the program started.
Okay.
So
But
this, we're
I
just,
guess what I'm saying, you did a grant to get this paid for, so that like needs to be done, right?
we already have the grant for 319,
Okay,
so we have enough for like 33 grinder stations.
that's where it's getting in my head,
Yes,
okay.
yes, but we're still gonna try to get some more money to put the pipes in, and another 319, and, that's why it's a 10.
So you want to add to it to do more, not
Right.
do the 33, okay.
Correct.
Yes, sir. The ultimate goal is to continue reaching out and obtaining as many grants as possible to assist with building our infrastructure
Okay.
and bringing all this forward. So
And
that
they're-
is
And they're
part of the
receptive to
process.
another grant application if we haven't finished the first one?
We are going to be applying for every single grant that we
Okay.
are possibly eligible for.
Right.
Right now, we currently have the 319, but there are many more out there, and that is part of what I will be doing, is working towards getting as much as we can to help offset and continue to grow our program.
Okay.
But
So the guy that wants to hook up tomorrow, he has to wait to get it free, basically?
Unless we're awarded the grant, we haven't signed the paper for the 319 yet. But if is sewer lines in front of the property, yes, they can hook up anytime.
Okay, so it's a kind of a first come, first serve, or?
That's part of the program. Once we get the approval to move forward with the program, then we'll start
Okay,
setting up policies and procedures.
And I will cover a lot of that going
Okay.
forward and how it will lay out. So just kind of covering the basics for people who might not know the background of everything. But we will cover. All right.
Okay,
So
well, the reason I'm asking the question, you asked for us to give a recommendation at the end, but you said you weren't expecting, it was one of your first words, wasn't it? That this was just informational, you didn't want a recommendation. Didn't you say that in the beginning of your talk?
Oh, no, sir. We wanted to present this to you, and upon your recommendation,
Okay,
we will present this next week to council.
Yeah,
Okay.
but in our first slides, you don't have to make a decision. It's like talking to the public.
okay,
That's why I have it on the agenda item for approval or recommendation. So,
okay.
And feedback, adjustments, changes, absolutely welcome. Okay, where did we leave off here? Okay. All right, so this program reflects septic to sewer models already implemented successfully in other Florida communities. Currently, there are 33 out of 67 that are working towards septic to sewer transitions. This program is specifically tailored to Lake Placid's size and infrastructure. The focus remains consistent: protect water quality, maintain transparency, implement in phases, and communicate clearly with residents at every step.
Did we finish on page 15?
Say,
I'm sorry to keep interrupting you, but did we finish on page 15? Criteria-based selection of phases, project area?
I am on right now phase program structure. Don't know what
Right there.
slide
Back
that
one.
is. I'm about to move on to how phase project areas are selected.
I'm looking at page 15. Can you go to page 15? That's going to be,
Slide 11, I believe.
which one?
11?
Core program principles. On the bottom of it says page
Oh,
15 of
okay,
43.
go two more.
Yeah. I think you need to go backwards.
I need to go back. Can I escape?
remember
Can
that one.
you, hang on. Can you bring me out of this? You want me to go back to?
Back one more, I think.
Core principles?
It
Or
says
phase
core
structure?
principles, right.
Core principles?
We were talking about, or maybe I wrote on the wrong page. Is that 15? No.
No, that's,
I apologize, I did not number my
It's all right. We didn't talk about this.
slides.
that's the next one after she's done. They're not going back.
One more back.
Okay.
Yes. One more back. There.
That one. Did we
Okay.
finish this page? This is, I think, where we were when I asked about the 319, correct?
Yes, 319 is where we're going to be
Right.
able to start with our pilot project,
Okay.
because we have the funding for that.
So the next one, the criteria selection of the project. That one, what's the criteria, I guess?
So that will be covered. So criteria is going to be, is infrastructure available?
Okay?
What's the density? Is it going to impact lakes specifically? But the main one is, do we have existing infrastructure? What's the density? And how are we going to take the most septics off of flowing into our waterways? That's the ultimate goal.
Okay.
It will, yeah. It's a couple slides in, yes.
Okay.
Okay, so ultimately, though, our guiding principles is we want to partner with our property owners. We want them involved every step of the way. We want them to be a part of this. And yeah, we have a very specific criteria-based selection. It's really hard to go ahead and say, yeah, we're going to do this, but we have no wastewater pipes anywhere near. So all of that plays a big part in where we can go and how we do it. Also, communication and education and making sure everybody's aware. And ultimately, we want to have minimal impact to the property owner, provide them a complete turnkey, meet them ahead of time, make everything good to go, and they would not even know we were there when we're done. It's kind of our goal at the end. And again, I have talked to many different counties around Florida. I've learned as much as I can and taken everything that worked for them and tried to incorporate that into Lake Placid based on what we need, what we have, and how we're going to be able to accomplish this. Of course, everything is fluid, so.
So whose programs are we looking at?
I'm sorry.
Whose programs are you looking at? You said around Florida.
Indian River, Martin County. I've looked at, I'm trying to think, St. John's, which is part of Indian River, Okeechobee. Oh, what was the one on the west coast?
It's St. John's County?
Yes,
Okay.
because they got affected the most with the St. John's River and the flow. And so, but Martin County is the one that has been very helpful. I think they're at about their 12,000 installation at this point. So they've been helping a lot in what worked, what didn't work, and how to move forward. Our goal is not to make the mistakes that other counties have, if possible. Okay, so we're going to get into how our structure works out. So every neighborhood represents a defined phase or project. Phases align with funding, engineering readiness, existing infrastructure, and outreach. Council oversight will be maintained at every stage.
Shouldn't that be commission oversight? The commission's oversight,
Yes,
not council?
yes. Anytime we introduce a new phase, it will be brought to council,
Okay.
and they will be notified. We're going to have a new website up and running, so ultimately the goal is to have all of that on our website with a timeline, but there will be no surprises.
Okay.
It'll be brought before the council.
Right.
Just want to let you know you're not out of the loop.
And I hate to have so many questions, but I'm just trying to get my head wrapped around it. How are you going to determine the phases, the one above it?
Again, infrastructure. So that's going to be number one. Where do we have existing wastewater pipes? And then again, the most impact on what is flowing into our waterways, density. Those are kind of going to be our key factors. Because realistically, we cannot go to a neighborhood that does not have any wastewater pipes for miles. So and as we grow and we get revenue, then we'll be able to implement more infrastructure and then add more phases and programs. That's why I said we're looking at a minimum of 10 to 15 years.
Would the age of the existing system be a factor?
I'm sorry, Mary.
Would the age of the existing septic system be a factor? In other words, go for the older ones first if they fit into the criteria?
Well, age would be a factor, but if the infrastructure's not there.
No,
Yeah,
of course,
but,
of course.
yeah, there's all kinds of factors. It's all based on the $40 million grant, all the areas they have listed in there. But right now, we're focusing on where we have the infrastructure until we can find funding to add infrastructure. No, age is part of that, yes.
And yes, ma'am, it is. And here, of course, some are new, some are not. What has happened, though, they did change the law recently, so anybody who is going towards a permit for a septic, if they have the capability to connect to a city sewer, they will not issue them a permit for a private septic system. However, if there is availability, then they have no option other than to connect to the city. So, but every neighborhood's a little different, so.
Or clarify, the only connections in the areas we've defined as infrastructure is being put in the original grant and the areas that were selected for distribution lines. I think what I just heard said that this sewer to septic only applies in those areas.
No. It's where we have infrastructure, but we're going to hit the areas that are mentioned in the $40 million grant.
So all the existing infrastructure in the downtown area is this program would be applied to that also.
But we haven't picked the area yet. So with that $40 million grant, they're saying we have to do it around lakes, or affect lakes. So.
But I thought council identified those areas.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So basically what we're trying to do, again, as I always say, the low-hanging fruit, if we have water lines there, we're gonna try to put some, wastewater lines in there. And if there's existing water lines, we're gonna try to get those people to hook up too. There's nothing mandated for them to hook up at this time, but we will give them an advantage on how many, we got the grant, how many stations we can put, in that grant, I think this one comes up to like 33. So the opportunity is gonna be there, but we are gonna try to pick an area where the lines are there, or if we can put them in there to take off a big section, the most dense areas with the most septics to get them off the lakes. So this covers certain areas, but everything with that $40 million grant kind of, covered on it. But we got to, our pipes don't go out very far, so we have to, do the closest areas that we have water lines, some wastewater lines, expand a little bit of wastewater in town, around the lakes.
But none of this money can be utilized to expand your infrastructure.
Not the 319 grant, but
Right.
we are going after different grants. There are some in the process of being done, but haven't been awarded yet. So that will be used for extending pipes.
Is it on? Here, you take my spot for a sec.
I just want to add a comment, because we have to remember that part of the issue that we have is that we have a utility system that currently should be being able to be self-sustainable, and what we have in the bank does not make it self-sustainable. And so the main goal for us is to be able to identify, as they're referring to the low-hanging fruit, two of the major components is we want to get them off of the lakes to have better lake quality, but we also need to be able to generate revenue to ensure that we're able to have a $40 million plant that is able to sustain at full capacity based off of the grant requirements. So just to add that little information there.
And that's definitely a big part of it. Getting those connections brings income in, which can be used to build our infrastructure. Some grants will allocate and allot for public, but 319 specifically only addresses like private property. So they're all a little different and earmarked for specific things. Okay, so program phases. So our program is going to follow a clear 7-step structure. Step 1, program readiness, making sure the funding, engineering, and legal framework is all in place before we move forward. Steps 2 and 3 focus on community awareness, education, and engagement. Those will be private meetings. Homeowners, residents will be informed. I'll hold multiple trainings. And they will be very much a part of it. This is to ensure that residents understand the process before any work begins. Step 4 is property-specific coordination. We will partner with the individual property owners. We will give them expected timelines, and everything will be clearly defined for every homeowner. Step 5 will be the construction, which will include the installation and all inspections. Step 6 is the connection and transition, where the systems are activated and existing septic tanks are properly abandoned as per the health department requirements. And finally, step 7 is a completion and closeout, property restoration, and final sign-off to ensure that everything is put back in place and the homeowner is satisfied with what we have done. Each phase builds on the one before it. Nothing moves ahead without any prior step being completed.
So these steps, have they been developed?
This is
what you're wanting to develop?
This is what
Okay.
we want to develop, yes, sir. This is part of our program. So now we're getting into how the phases and projects are selected. So the project areas will be selected using objective criteria, including infrastructure proximity, environmental impact, septic density and condition, proximity to water, constructability, and grant eligibility. Selection is purely data-driven and not repeatable. It's a system, and it is what it is. So again, like I said earlier, if we don't have wastewater pipes within 5 miles, it's just not an option until we have the funds to put those pipes in, and then we can extend towards that area. All right, so next, moving on for tracking and accountability. Each property will move through defined milestones. Notices and documentations are recorded. Issues will be addressed early. Council and residents will receive consistent progress reporting. In addition, Connect to Protect Lake Placid information will be located on our new Lake Placid Town's website. So our goal is to make sure everybody is well aware of what we're doing, when we're doing it, and how we're rolling it out. So here's kind of where we get into different conditions require different solutions. So Lake Placid uses more than one wastewater collection method. Some areas are suited for gravity sewer. Others require low-pressure grinder pump systems due to terrain and the groundwater conditions. Technology selection is based on physical feasibility and long-term reliability, not preference. Connecting to sewer eliminates nutrient discharge at the source by transporting wastewater away from the centralized treatment instead of dispersing it into the surrounding soil. The image you see here shows why different collection systems are used in different areas. On the left is a traditional gravity system. Gravity lines are typically installed much deeper, kind of overestimated at 15 to 20 feet, could be a little more shallow, which means more excavation, more construction, and absolutely more restoration work. Versus on the right, we have a low pressure system. These lines are much shallower, generally 2 to 4 feet deep, because they don't rely on any natural slope. They can be easily installed in areas with flat terrain, high groundwater, or challenging layouts. We can go around trees, we can go under sidewalks. We have a lot more flexibility with low pressure than we do with gravity. The key point is that system selection is based on physical conditions, not preference. We use the method that makes the most sense for the environment. So why septic to sewer? The image you see here shows the basic difference between septic and sewer. With a septic system, wastewater is treated on property and absorbed into the ground. Over time, that can affect surrounding soil and any nearby water. With sewer, wastewater is carried away from the home to a treatment facility designated to handle it at a larger scale. The goal is simply to provide a long-term solution that helps protect our community's water and keep systems reliable for homeowners. Here's an example of your traditional gravity sewer system. It shows how wastewater flows from the home through a sloped sewer lateral, moves naturally downhill into the public sewer main. There are no pumps on the property. The system relies on elevation and slope. It's simple, reliable, and works well in areas where the terrain allows it. This graphic shows our low-pressure grinder pump. This works on all individual properties. Wastewater flows into a buried tank where the grinder pump automatically activates and moves it through a small service line into the public sewer main. There is a wall-mounted control panel that monitors the system. The pump is compact, underground, and designed for reliable operation. I included a very short video, it's less than 2 minutes, but this explains why different waterway systems are used in different environments. Not every neighborhood can rely on gravity sewer. Elevation, soil conditions, and groundwater levels sometimes make a low-pressure system the more, and many times, the only solution. The system shown here uses grinder pump technology. For this program, we have chosen to use E1, a well-established manufacturer with decades of experience in low-pressure systems. This video is simply meant to provide a clear visual on how the system works and why it's appropriate in certain areas. Uh-oh. Can you go back for me? Or do you just want me to skip the video? All right, here we go. Do we have volume control?
Not sure where it's coming from.
So again, just a short little explaining the process. So recently we had 2 new homes under construction, and Leanne and I were able to go out and take a couple of photos, but this is the E1 grinder pump as it's being installed. Very minimal impact to the actual property, low trenching. When it is complete, this is what we'll show. It's about 5 inches above ground. Easy to get to, easy for our workers to come maintain, swap out pumps if need be. But that's what will be in the yards when we install these systems. Okay. So again, our goal here is to partner with the property owners. The town manages the design and construction. Residents are supported at each step. Responsibilities will be clearly communicated. The shared goal is protecting health, local water, and community quality of life. So what our residents can expect with this program, they will have advance notice, consistent criteria, phased implementation, and no neighborhood being skipped or rushed. The process is structured to be fair and transparent. Residents receive multiple advance written notices and clear timelines before any construction will begin. No one will be surprised by construction activity. The town manages coordination from start to finish, scheduling contractors, inspections, and communication. The goal is minimal disruption. Work areas are restored once installation is complete. At the end of the project, the property has completed sewer service, fully operational, and transitioned from septic to city sewer. The process is structured so residents are informed, supported, and not left navigating it alone. Consistency is essential to maintaining public trust. Every home will move through the same process and under the same standards. Cost should not depend on Cost should not depend on where a neighborhood is reached or how the phases are sequenced. At this time, final costs have not been determined. We cannot responsibly calculate those numbers until the Connect to Protect program is formally approved, and we are able to move into the engineering design, contractor bidding, and grant alignment. Establishing the program framework first allows us to determine cost accurately and fairly, rather than speculating prematurely. Residents deserve predictable expectations and consistent standards to reduce any confusion and protect everyone over the long term. When we say turnkey, we mean the town coordinates the entire process from start to finish. That includes installing the control panel, placing the grinder pump unit, connecting the home to public sewer, completing the inspections, activating the system, and properly abandoning the old septic tank. Each step is structured and managed in the same way for every home. The goal is simple: a consistent, organized experience that minimizes disruption and ensures residents are not left navigating the process on their own.
I have a question.
Yes.
Does that mean that you listed the work that basically the city was going to be doing? You didn't mention the electric supply to the pump. Is that going to be on the homeowner to provide that, or what?
Yes, they will be responsible for the minimal charge for the electric. It basically equates to a small appliance, but there will be a control panel that is installed on the outside, which will have an alarm on it just in case like power goes out or something, so they will be notified if there's any issues. But part of the cost for the whole installation would be for us to run that electric line, install that control panel for them. But they will be responsible for maybe $15 a year.
Yeah, for paying the electric bill, I understand that. I was asking about the running of the conduit and the wiring from where their panel is to where the new alarm panel is going to be.
Yes, sir, that cost is factored into our overall cost when it comes to it. Now, there may be some circumstances, because we're going to go on the basic size. If we have a house that's, maybe an extra 100 feet, and again, these are all things we still need to figure out.
Right, and that's going to be different from home to home depending on where
Correct.
the electric panel is and where the alarm panel is.
Yes, but the goal is that it's the same for everyone, but
Okay.
some people will have a little bit additional simply because their system is going to be maybe 120 feet
Yeah.
from the city lines versus the average, which is 60 to 80 feet. But again, all that will be very clearly laid out and determined ahead of time.
Okay, just one other question then. In the development that I live in, there's probably 4 or 5 new homes being built, right? And obviously they're putting in septic tanks right now, you know. Now, how soon can the city alert different areas as to, you know, your area tentatively is going to be 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now before you get, you know, a sewer service put in?
Yeah, very fair question. That's going to come along with our long-term utility plan. We're working on getting a 5-year, I believe, 5-year plan. And again, infrastructure, where that's going to go. But again, transparency, kind of as soon as we know, people will be made aware.
I think it's important that we try and get that information together as soon as we can. I mean, you know,
Well, like I said, we were working on grants, so we can't, you know, really get into the
okay, but if
2 to 5 years out. We have to figure, you know, close future projects. We can't expand that far out until we figure out where the money's coming from.
right, but even if you at least could say, you know, figure out, you know, that this is the sequence that we hope to do things in, and you're way out on that, well, they can figure they've got quite a while, and spending $20,000 or $25,000 for a septic system, it's maybe worth it. But if it's 2 or 3 or 4 years out, they may want to, you know, put off building their house for a couple of years. I don't know.
Right. So that's in my director's report. We are working on getting a utility master plan. And, you know, as we build that information will be incorporated in that as where we're expanding, how we're going. So, you know, basically, right now, we're just trying to focus on getting this going. And we're going to pick up an area, but we haven't done that yet. Once, like I said, we're trying to get approval, then we can figure out the fundings, cost the homeowner and everything else. So we're just, like I said, this is brand new. We're starting from scratch. We want a great foundation to start on and make it all equal for every, you know, resident here in LPRUAC, you know, besides the town of Lake Placid.
So is that something staff's going to decide, or do we
Oh,
need
no,
to do
no.
a workshop so we can
We're going to do
brainstorm?
workshops. We're going to do a bunch of stuff here. But we're just trying to get the program going, you know, and after that, we get the okay, then we can go see if there's some kind of financing or is there, you know, grant, you know, we just have to keep moving forward with it, but we just need a good base to start with. And so they basically what this is right now. You know, we're trying to put a program together built for Lake Placid.
Many of the grants are required in wanting any utility municipality.
Use the microphone, so it's on the radio.
So many of the grants are requiring that we have a plan in place and a structure in order to even qualify to apply for a lot of the grants. So this gives us that backbone and the base in order to have solid standing to go ahead and apply and hopefully win those grants.
Don't we have a master plan? Didn't Joey put together an Excel with every line we have in ground?
No, he might have put something together, but there is no master utility plan. What was that, the January or December?
Yep.
We brought forward a contract with a Fred Boucher, I believe.
Fred Belcher, that's the one we spoke about, and so it's already been approved by council, and because we recently have the new legal representation, he has reviewed the contract, and so we just got that signed off on. And so just to caveat what they both said, yes, there will be workshops. That was one of the things I was coming up to say. However, we are leaning on experts. I think that's some of the things that we have to remember is that we pay experts to be able to help us with this. Sometimes it may be that it's more so about our neighborhood or where we want it, but the main thing we have to look at is where it's going to get the town the biggest bang for our buck. One, again, on water quality, but also on how we're going to be able to get more residents or non-residents, because we are a regional utility provider, so that we can get those homes on. We are looking at pocket of areas that our town staff believes would be a good area. However, with the master utilities plan, we'll take everything that we currently have, even with there's a utilities plan that we inherited from the county whenever they were the utility provider. We have that, but outside of that, there's been no utility master plan for the town of Lake Placid recorded at all since we inherited this from the county. So as Jennifer said, in order for us to even be appealing to ask for state appropriations or for grants, they want to know, where's our skin in the game? Where are you developing this? They don't want it just to, I hate to say this, but the many comments that have floated out is that we never thought we were going to get this $40 million grant. It was Joey and Bert Harris together on the back of a piece of a paper somewhere working out rough numbers, and those comments have been made into the public. And so it was great. We have a $40 million advanced wastewater treatment plant, but now they want to know that we have a true plan and process, and that we're going to handle the monies that we're being trusted with in a diligent and fiscally responsible manner. So without a master utilities plan and a structure of this nature, the likeliness, I know I've stood before all of you and I've said this before, the likeliness of us being able to sustain as a regional provider is very slim to none. What's going to happen, and I don't want to put it all out there in a negative way, but it is the reality that we have to look at, is there are communities that are able to come in as the citrus groves are going away, and they can put in their own water treatment plants. And so now we're losing that opportunity where we need to be increasing that opportunity, because without that, the town of Lake Placid will not be able to sustain with our utilities. So just a couple of thoughts to add in there. Sorry, Jennifer. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and again, on your question, absolutely, when we determine we have our utility plan and we know where our infrastructure is going, yes, we would love more than anything to have this is within 2027, 2028, and a few years ahead of time. Can that be absolutely guaranteed? Nothing ever is, but based on infrastructure and funding, we'll have a pretty good idea. Does that help?
Thank you.
Okay. This is the steps to connect. So we'll have it set up online. When people are ready, we will have a memorandum of understanding. We are not going to go on anybody's private property without their absolute permission. We'll have a link on our website. They'll click on the link. They'll fill it out. There'll be a one-time fee. What are they calling that?
Any idea what that would be?
A deposit fee. And what is it now, like $50, I believe, for
Is it more for
deposit?
pressure or more for gravity, or is it the same, or?
Well, this is strictly the low-pressure
Okay.
program. But the fee is the same regardless, right?
You also have development fees, but that's coming down the road. We haven't got to that part yet, but like I said, she's just trying to make it clear how we're going to proceed, make it easy for residents, have it on the website, just through the whole process. That's what we're trying to put out here right now, so.
So, and then once that's done, we'll come to probably me, and then I will schedule an appointment with the homeowner, the electrical contractor, the plumber. We'll all meet. We'll determine where we're going to place their system, their control panel, get everything set up. Everybody will sign off on that agreement. Our goal is to have installation within a day, because nobody wants their yard or anything tore up. The electric panel will probably be run first, and then they'll come out and they'll do the new installation of the grinder, and then they will abandon the existing septic, and then they will restore their property to as close to what it was as possible. That is our ultimate goal. And then we'll have a final walkthrough and an inspection and make sure that it's to everybody's liking and satisfaction. But that's just kind of the simple steps there. So again, just kind of reiterating here, when we are ready to go into any kind of neighborhood, there will be multiple notifications. It will not just be one. We will put letters, door hangers, we will schedule town meetings, we'll go to them if need be, educate them on the process. They will be very fully educated and aware of what the steps are and what's coming for them. So that communication will occur before construction, during the implementation, and after all connections. So clear points of contact will always be maintained. So this kind of gets into what I just covered. Again, we will not just show up and start drilling. They will get multiple notifications, we'll have trainings. They will all be able to come, ask any questions that they need answered. We will give them updates along the way. All program information will be accessible, both online and through direct contact with town staff. Most importantly, this is not one-way communication. Residents will have the opportunity to ask questions, raise concerns, and receive responses throughout the process. Transparency reduces uncertainty, and clear communication builds confidence, and that's really our goal with this whole program. So, in summary, for our Connect Protect, it is a structured phase septic to sewer program, not a one-time construction project. It responds to documented water quality conditions and aligns with state law while giving Lake Placid a clear and organized path forward. Each phase is selected using objective criteria. It includes education, communication, and resident partnership before any construction begins. Turnkey installation ensures that every property moves through the same defined process, creating consistency and fairness across all neighborhoods. Council action tonight or next week will enable responsible, transparent progress with structure, not uncertainty. So I want to close this portion by clearly restating what residents can expect. Clear communication and individual coordination are built into this program. There will be direct outreach from the town before any work begins. Each property is coordinated individually with defined steps, defined timelines, and clear expectations. Residents will know what is happening, when it is happening, and who they need to contact for any assistance. Support is available throughout the process, and absolutely no one will be navigating this alone. The goal is confidence and clarity at every stage. So what I want to reiterate, Connect to Protect Lake Placid is not an immediate townwide mandate, a decision affecting every homeowner, a tax increase, and most importantly, it does not require immediate action at this moment. Looking ahead, this program is designed to grow thoughtfully and responsibly. As infrastructure and funding align, we will expand into additional neighborhoods using the same criteria-based structure. We will continue pursuing grant opportunities to reduce the financial impact whenever and wherever possible. Resident engagement does not end with installation. It remains ongoing throughout each phase. Our goal is to build a model program that other Florida lake communities can look to as an example as to how to move forward with structure, transparency, and partnership.
Are there any models out there we can look at now?
Say, well, I'm sorry, one more time.
I said, are there any models out there that we can look at now?
Again,
Or we're trying to be that person?
Martin County, St. John's.
Okay, Okeechobee.
I was going to say,
Indian
I have a
River.
list. I knew that was going to come back up. Seminole County, Martin County, St. Lucie County, Hernando County, Orange County, Volusia County, Brevard County, and Indian River County. Specific cities within utility jurisdictions is the City of Port St. Lucie, Fort Pierce Utilities Authority, City of Vero Beach, obviously Okeechobee County as well. And then it's not on the record where I can pull it up right now, however, I can speak to it because I did work in Bowling Green and also in Hardee County. And this very small city of Bowling Green, they also have an advanced wastewater treatment plant that is getting ready to come on. It's also being handled by Pannoni as well. And so there's some partnership in conjunction with Hardee County with that as well. So it is close. I think we are much closer to ours being completed than theirs is. So there's that as well. And just so you're aware, I don't remember exactly when it was, but it was around like the February 13th, 14th, somewhere around there, that council meeting. And then there was an article in the newspaper. After that article went in the newspaper, we started getting phone calls from different communities that are outside of our city limits, our town limits, who want to have water and wastewater services. And so we explained to them that although it was in the newspaper, that we are looking more so at Lake Placid proper. We're trying to look in this area. But as Mr. Warner said, we have to also look at the lake quality, how we can get to those areas where we already have infrastructure. There are other areas that we are looking at, but it would be for a more detailed conversation in a workshop setting so that we could provide you with maps and be able to let you see it. Sometimes being able to see it on the screen and have it where you can actually navigate it, it helps to understand. But I will tell you that for the normal person in the population, this is way high level. They're not going to understand everything that we're explaining, but we want to be able to at least allow them to ask the questions and try to get an educated response to them that they can understand. One of the communities that we keep getting calls from is Sun and Lake. And so Sun and Lake is a community that is asking for our services. So just a little bit more information so that you have it. And we can email these out to you too, because I know I read that off a little quickly so that you have that documentation. But this model, correct me if I'm wrong, is from Martin County, correct?
This is a little bit of all of them.
Okay.
But I work
go
I worked very closely with Leo Rapetti from Martin County, and he has helped me and guided me along. And then I've reached out to multiple other counties for their input and feedback. But there are currently 33 counties out of 67 that are transitioning. We even have the program that is going through Sebring, and also Avon Park is doing a septic to sewer program as well. So
will we get to a point where there's like a cookie cutter plan, so everybody's not having to reinvent the wheel? Or is it everything too individualized that you have to?
I'm sorry, I don't hear that.
It's not going to be cookie cutter, you know, every place is different. So basically, we went around and went through different counties, picking the best fit for us.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and again, our goal is for what is best for our residents, and try, like I said, to take what worked best for them, implement that here. Is everything going to be perfect? No, but our goal is to get that feedback and fix where we can. The big issue is at the end of 2025, getting a permit to install a septic system. You basically, unless you go with an advanced nutrient system, you no longer can get the basic standard system that we're all used to and that most of us have had. So that is an option. Possibly those new homes under construction have had to go with that. But yeah, December 2025 was the end of the old way of doing it. So this is our path forward.
Okay.
And just the last thing, so again, this is what we're asking for council and your approval as well. We just want to formally establish the Connect to Protect Lake Placid program as a structured framework. It does not authorize immediate construction in any neighborhood, and it does not create any new obligations beyond adopting this program structure. It allows us to move forward with defining phases, coordinating grants, aligning utility planning, and continuing outreach in an organized manner. In short, council approval establishes clarity and structure, no sudden changes. It creates a long-term consistent solution that can be implemented over time.
So did you coordinate with the county?
I have reached out and I have spoken with Highlands County. I've spoken to Sebring and Avon Park as well on what they're doing and how they're doing it and gotten their feedback. Everybody's doing it a little bit different.
But the county issues permits.
Yes, and I believe Mr. Warner has talked to them.
I've spoke to Highland County Engineering. The only permit that we're going to need from Highlands County is electrical.
Do what?
Electrical permit. They're not going to require a permit for installing the stations. Yeah, I found that a little off, but they said it's just going to be an electrical permit required from the homeowner for each station. So
Yeah, they are going to waive the fee for installing the new system and only charge us for the electric permit.
but these are the things that after we get the approval to get the program started, we'll start figuring out permit fees, the connection
But
fees.
it's a septic permit fee, it's not a sewer permit fee, right? So that's why they're not charging it, I would think, correct?
It's possible, but usually any kind of construction on a private property, they don't want a permit, so. but I had that conversation last week, so.
And septics go through the health department.
So there might be a permit for abandonment, so I haven't got a call into them yet, so. We're just, like I said, we're just trying to get the structure of this program going, and then if we get the approval, then next steps. So we can get a full program put together with costs and, areas and stuff of that nature.
Okay, so back to Charlotte, you said you're going to email us some model programs, okay? Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
St. Louis County was, St. Lucie County was listed as one of the areas. About a year ago, I tried contacting Port St. Lucie Utilities Director, right? And I talked to the woman who was the, I guess, like public relations lady for there, and she gave me his phone number, and she also said she would have him call me because I had some questions, because they've had a system for a while there, and he didn't call me back. I called him about 2 or 3 times, and he still hasn't called me back. So don't expect to get too much information from St. Louis County.
I will
Lucie
tell
County.
you, I had the same kind, it took about 3 weeks, and I finally was able to have a conversation with him. They're kind of in a different predicament because of the St. Johns River. As we stand right now, there are 3 counties that it is mandated, absolutely mandated, where if the sewer is through, people have to connect to the sewer line. Lake Placid is not currently one of them, but that is something that is also going to have to be workshopped and discussed going forward once these lines go in front of homes.
And I think they were, at that time, they were beginning the process of changing the sewerage grinder pumps that they had installed, because first of all, I believe they didn't have I'll call it a receptacle on the control panel to plug in an emergency generator, so when the power went out in a hurricane, they were, out of luck.
Correct. And even Martin County, I think they're on their 3rd different company, and that is one of the beautiful things about this system, is they do have an outlet that if you have your own generator, you can buy that plug and you can run it in less than 5 minutes and it will flush and pump. And if you don't, I know our plan is that we will have crews that are going out and will go house to house in that case and make sure that those are being flushed and pumped daily.
Okay.
So,
And as far as paying for all this, where is that? Is that coming out of this $40 million grant? Or
No, it's, infrastructure will be coming out of grants. Other ones we haven't received yet, but, on the property, it's that 319 grant. It's provided through DEP, for water quality, but, we've been awarded that one, like I said, for about 33 units, I believe it is. It's like
90,000.
Yeah, just under 400,000, no, under 500,000, 490 or 480 or something
Right.
like that. And that was from leftover money that EPA had. So they said if we can get that done moving forward and you can prove that you're doing it, they should come pretty standard getting grants for the 319, which is private property. But we have to get infrastructure put in front of the homes first. So
But that's to do it. I'm talking about for all the consulting and all the stuff and your work, and how is that getting paid for?
that's through the grants.
The grants that we
Yeah.
don't have?
Jennifer works for the town, but everything else moving forward will be paid through grants until we get, additional hookups and funding, and then we could probably do some projects, smaller projects from our capital fund. But at this point here, we have to rely on the grants until we can, build connections up.
Ideally, we need to get connections as soon as possible so that we can start building that capital fund in order to go ahead and extend our infrastructure out. So getting neighborhoods with the highest density, bringing in income would be top of the list for sure. But grant funding is never a guarantee.
Right.
And just going to be very honest, cost is absolutely going to be the big issue and something that will have to be figured out. And again, to be consistent, fair, across the board for everyone.
What,
Could
I
you-
have another
could you
question.
clarify?
Oh,
Sorry.
I'm sorry. Yeah, you can go.
How many units?
I believe it's like 33, 34, with the grant we have now.
So I ran a report, and currently of our residences that are receiving city water from us, 33% of them also have our wastewater. Out of town, of all the ones that are receiving regular city water, less than 1% are actually on wastewater. So we have approximately 29% of our customers that are currently able to utilize the wastewater.
One more question. Let's say you've picked an area and it's 3 blocks long where you're going to put this in. Obviously, the main line has to go in first before you start any of the
Yes.
branches. Or what? Just picking this arbitrary 3-block area again. How long approximately would it take to put the main in? Do you think before you mentioned the lady mentioned the individual branches to the houses? They were hoping one day. I think that might be optimistic, but I just want to, if you have any idea, like from other areas that you've talked to, how?
Yeah, to install the sewer main, it would be directional drill. It could probably be done within 3 months or so. So it's a pretty quick process.
Okay.
And then once that's connected to the main line, the one that's going to run to the new plant, and then we start hooking up the grind stations.
Right. And on the directional bore for the main line, how far can they go, like before they, you dig a pit, you do your directional bore so many feet, and then you have to have another pit and go.
It depends on the size of the pipe they're putting in. Larger pipes, say with 6 to 8 inch, that's about every 500 foot. Smaller diameter pipe, they can probably go a little farther.
Okay, thank you.
But when they bring it up, Jack, they fuse and put it back down. It's not like it's getting a belly on it. too bad,
Okay.
on the short blocks.
Right. Now, when they put that main line in, at the same time, do they put a branch connection for each house, or they
No.
come back and tap in later?
We'll do the tap at the time of installation of the grind station. That's just less stuff to be set out in there getting hit or, getting corroded from, just sitting in the ground. So we want to make sure that we do it at the time of installation. That way everything's new and everything's working fine.
Okay, and there'd have to be a small pit dug to make that branch connection into the each main?
It's just like a water tap. It's just, you have to go down, tap the main. There's a check valve there. And then it's a poly. It's ran back to a box on the property line with another check valve. And then from there, it goes back to the grind station, which also has a check valve. So we have multiple check valves on this, so they're not getting any backups coming from the force main.
Thank you.
Yes.
Matt, in reference to your question, you had asked about how the $40 million in salaries were being allocated. One of the things that I believe is best to be mentioned here is that when Mr. Barber was hired, he was hired as a utilities director. And so I've been asking lots of questions, obviously, through this whole grant process. And as hired as a utilities director, he came with a bonus that he was also an engineer of record. So we were able to use him in a dual capacity. However, when he transitioned out, again, we had the same opportunity with Mr. McCarthy. When Kevin stepped into his role as the dual role, we hired, you may remember, Dennis. So we had Dennis Murray, who was on staff. Through this process, once we received the $40 million, there was an opportunity where their salaries were able to draw down off of that because of them being considered our contractor with the engineering services. So most of the salary for Mr. Murray, that's how we were able to pay for him, because I've been asked, why does the town not have an engineer on staff? And most municipalities, as small as the town of Lake Placid, Avon Park does not have one, Sebring does not have one, and we are the smallest in the county. But if you look around at other municipalities, especially the size of ours, they're not on staff because we can't afford them. We did look at possibly having a project manager slash one who could be able to do engineer of record as well, and we cannot afford them. It's no way that we would be able to afford them. So I just wanted to add that information so that you're aware. I believe that may be where you've seen probably through some of the documentation where there were salaries allocated. As we move forward with grants, we do have the opportunity to also include administrative fees. So if for some reason we need to hire someone to assist us with managing the grant and things of that nature, through the grant process, administrative fees would be able to allocate for their salary as well. So just some information to add to you.
While you're up there, I have a question that probably you can answer better. At one of the January council meetings, I think it was mentioned, somebody asked about how much money was still to be paid on the wastewater treatment plant. And I thought I heard like 14.5 million or something like that. Is that in the ballpark?
You had a meeting this morning with Rachel. We're still trying to get some of the numbers down. In fact, there was a meeting this morning. We're conquering and dividing. I can't be in all of them, but Rachel, Bert, and Bert Warner and Lorraine, who is helping oversee that, they had a meeting this morning. I don't want to speak out of turn, Mr. Comley, but we will be prepared to have that information.
Okay, well, anyway, apparently it's a significant amount of money.
Correct.
Right? Now, in the council meetings, they were talking about the $4 million loan that we had that you were using, month to month to make payments.
Correct.
Right. And I think it was mentioned that the time to get reimbursed for your payments was it like 3 or 4 months or 2 or 3 months?
It could, but so one of the things that Councilwoman Charles brought up was that we should technically be getting what they call advance payment. So that's not been the process, and that's what Ms. Rachel Osborne was trying to explain, is even though that's the way that the verbiage is written, that's not the way that it's happened. So what has happened is the town has, when we get a statement in to be able to pay, and because of statutory requirements for our budgeting process, we have to have that paid by a certain time frame. So in order for us to do that, the town has been able, we've had to pay that out of our money, out of our reserves, wherever it has been. And so that was the reason why the line of credit was obtained, was because we knew for a magnitude of this size that there was no way that the town of Lake Placid, who typically runs off of a $6 million budget, but now we're taking care of a project that is over $40 million, it's not there. So again, those conversations have been ongoing. We actually met with the banking yesterday, and so it'll be more forthcoming in the council meeting where we should have some more information to provide.
Okay, that's what I was wondering about, because eventually, somewhere in the next few months maybe, when the contractor submits his final payment request or whatnot, it could be way more than $4 million.
We don't believe that's going to be the case. We don't believe that's going to be the case. And again, we'll have more information whenever we have the council meeting, but I don't think that's going to be the case, but we'll see. The other part of that, there was something I was getting ready to tell you, and now it just slipped my mind. Hang on, I'm going to think about it for a second because it was important. It was regarding the finances. I'll think of it now probably after this, Mr. Conley. But
Okay.
either way, we are working on that, and we have had legal counsel has been involved in that, so we've had them on some of the conversations and things of that nature. I know what it was. We did get, Senator Grall's office became involved because Marty was able to listen to the meeting, and she understood the advance payment as well to mean that it gets advanced to us, and then we submit all of the necessary documentation after so that we could be properly reimbursed, so that the town does not incur any additional fees that we should not. So there was a conversation between Ms. Osborne, Senator Grall's office, and also DEP, and so we believe, even though it's at the end of this process, that that may be rectified, and we actually had a follow-up call with them today. So that was occurring as well. So it's a lot of moving parts, and we're moving things forward pretty quickly. So we hope to have more information for you to be able to present in the council meeting.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Pam Pinterest, 12373 Lost Lake Drive, Lake Placid. Well, it's been a long time coming. We're finally nearing some kind of path to move forward. I'd like you to remind y'all, though, you're a town of less than 2,600 residents, and you have twice the state poverty rate as the state average. And when you compare, you can't compare yourselves to Avon Park, Sebring, Indian River, Martin County. You don't have that tax base. Yes, some people can afford it, whether it's $15,000 or it's free or it's $2,000. There's going to be a lot of people in the downtown or in the town limits that can't. So I'm glad to hear that the master utilities plan has been signed off by the attorney. So that's going to be critical, I would think, the coordination between the criteria-based selection of phases and projects and your master utilities plan, which I thought they said it would take a year. So the 319 grant, that's the $490,000, 33 to 35 hookups from that grant. So 14 to 15,000 per hookup. And I guess I'm unsure. Is the plan the 100% paid by the town? When we all first started this, it was 100% will be paid by the customer. Town wasn't going to be on the hook for anything. The customer paid 100%. Then it went to the town's going to pay for everything, and the customer isn't paying for anything. And I think now there's going to maybe be a balance of that, or I'm not sure. And it's a difficult thing because y'all been talking about it year after year. Sometimes you decide something as a committee, council goes a different way. This pertains to the grant ranking, which is going to be different than I think this criteria ranking is going to be. But y'all will go Serena Pearl. The next week the council will go Lake June Hills or Simpsonville, somewhere else. But Placid Lakes was originally in the $40 million grant. Placid Lakes isn't in the LPRUAC. It's not in the Lake Placid Regional Plan. Last year, the town attorney at that time, he told the council that they were canceling the contract for the 30-foot right-of-way on Catfish Creek. So your plans right now are not to go to Placid Lakes. So I don't know how involved or and if that's not correct, you need to let people know or be aware of it. I'll try to wrap up. There's a possible $2.5 million federal funding that they talked about a month or so ago. So that's for like lift station generators or force mains, but will any of that funding go towards the septic to sewer hookup?
That's a resilient grant, so that's for generators, SCADA, bypass pumps.
So if you hear like the town got this grant and they got this grant, wherever, you just got to make sure what the purpose of the grant is for. And I know when the town thought they had a $7 million federal grant, that funding was going to go down Lake Mirror Drive. And whether it cost $5,000 or $50,000 to hook somebody up, it was going to pay 100% of the cost. It's just very confusing. I come to meetings, and if someone were to ask me tomorrow, what's the plan going to be? I have no idea, and understand that. But we don't even have a ballpark cost. I think you need to say it's $18,000, but you're paying 10%, or you're not paying any of it, or and I understand for staff that's hard to tell, like the customer, and this is what you're trying to do, come up with this plan. I'm concerned if it goes to like $15,000 per hookup, and then plus a development fee. So the development fee is currently like $3,200, and so you're just talking about increasing it. So then that wouldn't be paid by the town, and that would be on the customer. But these are the questions, you know, some people, it may not make a difference if you have to pay $30,000 to hook up. Some people, if you had to pay $400 more to hook up, it's a big deal. So I'd ask you to be sensitive to that, and when you're making this plan, you've got annexation issues. A lot of the properties that are on Central Water are in unincorporated Highlands County, and they've signed voluntary annexation agreements. So if those areas are going to have sewer, I would think they'd be annexed into town. And I know this isn't with your hat on, that's not your concern, but I think whoever's looking at this holistically needs to look at that. And I would ask you to think about hardship cases, however this moves forward. Not everybody can afford this. Thank you.
There's no one else has any questions. I'd like to...
Mr. Harris, I think, wants to speak.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Forgive me for being late. What issue are you on at this point?
We just finished the presentation from Ms. Cooper.
Because I heard septic to sewer, the 319 grant, annexation, compelled. Pam raised a lot of good points of unknowns. So is that all septic to sewer, or several different topics to be addressed?
We've talked about all of those, I would say.
Let me start with the 319 grant. We've had that one now for what, about 6 months?
We were told we have it. We haven't been awarded it yet. We haven't signed any papers on it yet.
We, I don't know the reason for the delay on that one, but maybe you could enlighten.
It's paper.
Well, is it on our desk, or is it on, are we waiting on the state?
Waiting on the state.
Okay, maybe the senator could help us expedite that one as well, because we've got to have that money spent, as you just mentioned. You know, we've got a lot of citizens in our town that are paying a sewer availability fee today. I like to use Arlene Tuck. She's been writing that check every month for 15 years, a long time since we put those lines in the plant in. It would seem to me that that 319 would immediately be allocated to the folks that have been paying that service availability fee for a couple of reasons. A, they've been paying us $20 a month forever. B, the line is already there. All you need to do is to connect. So I don't see any reason to tie that grant to the septic to sewer grant. It also addresses Bert's question or issue of getting hookups now. We need the hookups. Because the state is paying, or that 319 grant will pay the entire cost of the connection, the only other expense of the connection would be the tap-in or system development charge. I don't even remember what that is now. We've talked about raising that. We'll get to that in a minute. But I would delete that charge, at least to these people. System development charge is to pay two things. One, your share of the plant. Two, your share of the lines that run you to the plant. In this case, both of those have already been paid. The state gave us a plant so we could convert septic to sewer. So we have no real reason to charge our customers, particularly that have been paying for so long, the cost of buying that portion, their portion of the plant. So my encouragement would be to waive the charge, the system development charge for them, and get on with hooking them up, advertise it, do first come, first serve, send them a letter and say who wants it. And let's be ready to install that, spend that money as soon as the paperwork is signed, and maybe we can speed that up. That is not, unless Ms. Milkey can help us get the funds advanced, the town would still have to pay those costs, probably $12,000 to $15,000 each, and then get it reimbursed from the government. So the homeowner, a lot of these homeowners can't write a $15,000 check, as someone admitted or acknowledged. So we're going to have to fund that carry, but that's not terribly expensive and can be done. Just like we're funding the septic to sewer construction, it would be a lot less than that. You can also stage that out over time as people apply. If you want to limit it to 5 or 10 a month, you're only talking about 30. It's not that bad. I believe you said 400,000 interest at 5-6% on 400,000 for 90 days. Ain't that much. So I would encourage the board to make a motion to ask staff to return to them the appropriate ordinance to waive the fee, the system development charge, and, excuse me, I had that written down. Let's see. It's gone.
And send a letter, first come, first serve, that's what I wrote down.
Yes, first come, first serve, to waive the system development charge and authorize implementation of the 319 grant to the folks that have been paying our system development charge. And make that recommendation to town council and ask staff to bring the appropriate ordinance change and documentation. You want to take that one up? If anybody's interested, I'll take a breath and then we'll come into other issues.
This isn't on the agenda. We just had a presentation and a director's report.
You can make the motion and put it on the agenda.
Septic to sewer program. What's part of the program now?
Yeah, but the program is the structure
I think
of
this
the
is what I
program.
asked earlier.
Right.
We're adding that to it? Is what you wanted to do?
No, like I said, we just brought you the program for approval, just for the structure of it. And then after we get the approval from you and town council, we'll come back with a structure for funding and where these are going to go. That hasn't even been touched yet. You can't, the town has always been trying to help the residents. This is fantastic, but you cannot just give things away. You know, I appreciate that, but like I said, we don't have the funds in our capital or in our funds right now, and now we're going to start giving things away. You can't do it.
Isn't that the spirit of the grant, though, is to alleviate
The
the burden
spirit
off
of the
of
grant is to help municipality, utility grow and get structured under their feet. You just don't give things away. And that's, as we've been talking to Martin County, other ones, they get grants all the time. They do not give things away. You know, we try to, we'll try to help the residents, with the grant money, lower fee, but there still has to be a cost. You can't get rid of our development fees, because that goes into a fund so you can expand later down the road. If these people have been paying that development charge and they're expecting a free grant, they could have connected 10 years ago or whenever they started paying the fee. So,
But
like I said, you just can't give money away.
In consideration of the information, the system development fees are for infrastructure.
Yes.
That infrastructure is put in place by the grant. Seems pretty simple. The system development fee, if these folks have actually been paying connection fees,
They're paying a connection fee, but they never paid the development fee. It's a fee because they had the
has anybody
opportunity.
added up the amount of money that they have paid for the right to connect?
They have the right to connect anytime they wanted to. They choose to pay that fee and not connect. Those pipes have been out in front of their homes.
And I think that's what he's asking, let's go ahead and let them connect, because they've been paying for that right. They're wanting to exercise that.
Right, but they
now.
have to pay the development fee. They never paid that. They've just been paying a monthly fee.
The monthly fee of, I believe, around $20 a month, it may be 19 times 12 months times 15 years is $3,600. That's significant. I would certainly, if Bert wants to bring in a proposed fee, let him add that to the recommendation and have the discussion. The business of it not being on the agenda, sooner or later, this body needs to stand up and say it needs to be on the agenda. It's your place to say, we want to go forward on this and not necessarily wait on staff, so that when that money's available, we can implement and spend. My understanding is the 319 grants continue to be available through time, but only after you've spent what you've been given. So it's important to get on with it.
Are you suggesting that, Bert, are you suggesting that there are 34 candidates available today?
Yes.
And the hierarchy of their hookup is going to be through this program that we were just presenting?
That's what we're trying to set the structure of a program for the future connections.
I don't understand. Are you talking about septic to sewer now or the 319?
That's a good question.
The program that we presented to you today is septic to sewer, which involves 319. This is just a program that we need to start and have it, we're starting from the foundation based on like Martin County and other counties.
Right.
So this is based on, right now, low pressure grinder connections.
But trying to decipher between the two programs, is there a defined line between the two programs?
There is. And so we're trying to get a microphone so that we can make comments. So I do respect Mr. Harrison, his objectives and his comments. Please take into account that the town staff are looking at many different variables. We are tasked with the responsibility of knowing what these grants will cover, what they won't cover, and then also being responsible to know what we currently have in the bank and what we don't have in the bank. And so we see that on a regular basis, and we manage all of these programs. So as Jennifer was just stating, here, I'm going to let you say it so that they can hear it. Go ahead. So specifically to the one, it has to be homes that are off of the lake. So in what Mr. Harris is talking about, that's going to be a different situation outside of this program.
Specifically the 319 grant, they are looking at and will fund homes that are directly on the water that have sewage flowing into the water. Whereas homes that are located in town, they are absolutely within the basin and the BMAP area, but not necessarily could be funded by that specific grant. So there's a lot of different caveats to the different grants and the earmarks and what they will allow and what they will not allow. And so we have to work within all those parameters. And in terms of costs, the whole idea of today and presenting next week is so that we can start to get bids and have these meetings and discussions to determine a fair and equitable cost across the board for everyone. That's key and important. And in my research, going beyond, there are a lot of programs that are out there. SHIP is one that they will help people in low income over a certain age. It goes by amount of people in a residence. So I'll give you an example. If you're 62 or over and your yearly income is, let's say, $28,000, they will give you up to $30,000 for improvements on your home. Roof and septic to sewer are the top two. And they basically, if you qualify and you keep your property for 10 years and you are homesteaded, then they forgive the loan. So there are a lot of options that we are working on to assist, and that's part of my role, would be to help people in getting as much assistance, and there's a lot out there for that, to offset those charges. And yes, every homeowner is going to be in a different circumstance and situation, and we are going to have some serious discussions about how to make that work equitably for everyone.
So you're saying the 319 is only for people that are impairing the lakes directly, that are on lakes?
This specific one, yes.
Okay. Because he just used Miss Tuck as an example, I believe, didn't you, Mr. Harris?
I was surprised to hear that recitation, particularly the part that it's only for sewage flowing directly into the lake. Maybe she meant it's only for septic tanks on the lake. I'll be asking for a copy of the grant and that information. First I've heard of that. I thought it was to connect everyone to the grant, to the system. Now, another factor, and that's, I think, been made clear today, primarily by Pam, is there's a lot of detail in both septic to sewer and 319. And those are the things that need to come before this board, not a generic wave of the hand, and I've approved from this board the pretty slides on how septic to sewer is to be managed. This board, frankly, I believe, is the one that needs to dig in and get down to the details that Pam was talking about. Annexation being one. We right now require annexation for water and sewer connections. If we're compelling sewer or encouraging sewer, however you care to look at it, then I would decouple sewer from annexation. Water, maybe leave that one there, but we're trying to get the community hooked up to sewer. Bert and I have had a bit of a disagreement philosophically on the charging of sewer with water. Clearly the best, easiest, most accurate is to have a water line and a sewer line, but it's not required at all. A lot of places have one and not the other, and you simply set a flat rate on your sewer. It's common, it's done. I think Bert would tell you it's done. So saying that is a condition or a requirement, I don't believe is appropriate. Also, the town has already adopted a resolution setting out the order of communities or neighborhoods or lakes to be addressed. That was a 10-page document adopted in detail by the town council, used to apply for the $40 million grant. If we're going to abandon that list, that's a town council decision, not a staff decision. I would encourage a motion. First of all, I would still encourage the motion. If you're right, show us where that 319 grant can only be used on the lake. That's a simple one. If it's not that, then let's get on with bring us back the documents and the ordinance, and I would still say waive. There's going to be plenty times to charge, but these people have already paid a bunch. And I would, you've got a way, if you've got a way to hook them up, I would encourage doing that. So yeah, answer the question, is it lakes only? And if not, let's get on with it, and be ready to spend that money. Where was I going before that? The details in septic to sewer. Until you know how you're going to pay for that, and I believe we will continue to get grants. That certainly has been proven to date. You're right, nobody can count on grants. We can't spend money we've not gotten a grant for, but we're doing pretty good. I would sure like to see us continue that approach and authorize and direct continued applications. And let's look in and see what other grants we can get, state, federal, DEP, legislative, there's a lot, Department of Agriculture even. But then are we going to make a final decision or a decision to say, we really want to push toward gravity? In some areas, I don't think gravity is going to work just from a geologic basis. Probably the wrong word, but you get the idea, hills and valleys. Some, we're going to have to be, like me, going to be on a grinder pump. And that's going to change. So first of all, the slide that said we're going to treat everyone equally, I would strike that line. You are not going to treat everybody equally. Just can't do it. Somebody's going to be on a grinder and somebody's going to be on gravity. So I think that's this kumbaya, we're all going to be equal, needs to be patted down at a strategically high level. We're going to do the best we can to get it to everybody. But we need to decide how we're going to finance this. Are we going to go into a borrowing? Are we going to go into a neighborhood by neighborhood borrowing and have an assessment on each? Is it going to be on the tax bill? Is it going to be on the sewer bill? There are a lot of things to work through, and as well as Pam's list. And my point is, I want to make sure this is coming back to this committee, because this is the expertise needed by the council. Every one of you are there for a reason. Jon Draper, engineer, he's not here with us, but boy, that man knows where the dog died in this. So I wanted to make sure this is coming back here with details, and it's not just, oh yeah, they've approved it and we're going forward on a staff level. So I'd like some assurance of that.
With all respect, Mr. Harris, I think that there are very many variables that you've already been out of the loop on, where we've addressed many of these topics already. And so I understand what you're saying, but again, the town staff are tasked with knowing the ins and outs and all the nuances with every grant, and we also are tasked with the responsibility of knowing what cash we do and do not have. And please let me finish, because we have clarity here for all of the experts that are working on it. While I do appreciate that you wrote the $40 million grant, there are many things that are going to have to be vetted out. And it's not going to just be today. But we have to move this forward, because we are nearing the end of a $40 million project that the state is looking for us to have a plan to move this forward. Because for a municipality the size of the town of Lake Placid, this is a beautiful gift that, yes, Mr. Harris wrote the grant for. But as we've stated in many meetings before, we have had to scale back with what the original plan was. And so there have been modifications, and we have to revisit it, because it is no longer realistic in the list that was originally outlined to be able to reach those locations. So we have to now re-identify where we can get the closest area, as we've already stated here in many conversations. Again, this is not to debate with Mr. Harris. I understand that this is a project that he has worked greatly on, but as we have moved through changing of staff, and we have had to have the ability to know where the funds are going and to account for them. In order for us to be reimbursed for anything, we have to go through submitting all of the necessary documentation, ensuring that we have crossed our T's, dotted our I's, and many times, as we have said in the last council meeting, we should have had advance payment. That wasn't the case, and still staff have been able to get us reimbursed properly, because we're meeting those requirements. Now, Jennifer she wanted to make a comment because she is working very heavily on this along with our finance department. Her office is directly across from Ms. Osborne's because it is I have to note that you should be very, very proud of the staff. And I say that because when you take and look at a staff who has typically maintained a $6 million budget, and they have been maintaining with very minimal staff being added, very minimal, they have maintained this and been able to keep the town running with slim to very little resources. That is very commendable. But Jennifer is new and she hit the ground running and has been able to look at this. So please make your comments. And then Leanne, you had comments.
Yes, so yes, so the 319, and we looked into it because, yes, in town, basically all of Lake Placid is considered part of the BMAP and within zones. So when I was doing the research with DEP and how we were going to ensure to get funding, it's not only homes that feed or are directly onto the lake, but they're looking for what has the most impact, the most homes that have a direct flow right into a water body. So that is their priority in distributing funds for that. Not to say that they wouldn't cover something else. So we're kind of looking at that. We don't have anywhere specifically designated yet. The whole point of this today and then going forward was simply to present a structure, a backbone, a program, so that we can have these hard conversations. We can continue to meet. We can go through what is, what isn't, what avenues we can take, have those cost discussions, because yeah, it has to be done together as a community, all of us, and it does start here. But until we have a program in place, we have nothing to go forward with, if that makes sense. So this is truly simply today to give the whole septic to sewer a program, structure, framework, so that we can now set up workshops, meetings, bring in community, bring in professionals, and start tackling those hard questions. And again, to be fair and equitable. And you made the comment that it's never going to be fair for everyone.
No, I didn't say that.
Gravity.
It's not going to be equal. We're going to do our best to be fair.
That's the whole goal, to do our best. So gravity is not going to work in every situation. And so we have to look at the septic to sewer, the grinder pumps, is for those locations where gravity will not work. If your home is 8 feet below the road, you're not going to be able to push your sewage up that hill.
That would be me.
So gravity will not work. So we have that distinction. So we want to do the best that we can do, and everybody's going to be a little different.
So as I understand your statement, the 319 can be used in town, but DEP would prefer it to have the most impact. And you got that in an email from them?
I can get that for you, absolutely.
Super. I'd really like to see
Yes.
that, because the conversation Charlotte and I had, and Bert and I had, where the 319 grant, there was no such restriction of it's best on the lakes. It was available in town. So you're right, Charlotte, I've been out of the loop. That's another discussion. But I still would say let's look at the grant and go forward and have a plan. And I don't know whether it needs to be linked to this. But by the way, you didn't really answer my question with your speech, and that is, the details come back to this committee, correct? Okay, that was really my concern, is how it's going to be financed, what's the criteria of selecting. So you're just giving an overview today, correct? And
Yes.
you'll come back with the details to this committee.
Absolutely. This is the starting point. And,
Because I was afraid it would, all of your documents were addressed to the council to say approve it.
well,
Yeah, they were, actually.
and at the very beginning of my presentation, I did state that this was written to present to them, but absolutely, all starting points is going to be here.
This is just a 100,000-foot view. We're going to get into the details of
Yes,
how to finance, okay?
yes.
This is the preliminary, so to say that we've reached a decision is very, very preliminary. This is part of an ongoing conversation that will have to be had, where we, as we stated, will be workshops. We will have to workshop where it will be joint commission between the council and this board, and then also with public input. So no, this is very preliminary, but in order for us to get it moving, we have to have a program to present. And so staff have done their very due diligence to make sure that it is a program that will fit the needs for the town of Lake Placid, based off of looking at the other models, which you have actually suggested, Martin County. So
Oh, yeah, Martin County's been all over this.
so we have taken the direction of Mr. Harris, even as our previous town attorney. However, now I ask you, as this commission, to please trust the individuals that you are paying and that are employed by the town to be able to bring forward a program that is best for the town of Lake Placid, as not just the residents for the town of Lake Placid, but also as your regional utility provider. That's what we're here for. We're not here to make this unfair or inconsistent for anyone. Our major goal is to be able to bring forward a program and a plan that meets for every resident that is a resident of the town of Lake Placid or utilizes our regional utility system, because that's what we're really here for as public servants.
That's a nice speech, and that's a nice speech, and I didn't interrupt you if you don't mind. And that's really where Charlotte and Bert had a falling out in this, because it's the use of the $40 million grant for the citizens that are here. And she's right. I'm not the paid lawyer. You've got one of those to listen to, but I'll still have an opinion, and I still know a good bit of the background. So that's what I'm trying to offer today for your consideration. Just as I suggest the system development charge be waived for the 33, if we can do it in town, you may want to look at a pretty reduced system development charge for the residents that live here. Their sewer plant's paid for. FDEP gave us the plant to connect people. Lowering the threshold cost of connection is important. We've still got to run lines. That's where your grants, I think, come in, and hook up. Hopefully we get more 319s. But I still think that we ought to favor the people that live here simply, I mean, it's easy to say that, but that's what DEP gave us the money for. And I'm saying let's spend that money, that resource, for what we said we would spend it. I would charge a significantly higher system development charge for new residents. There's no reason they should benefit from what was given to us to get people off the lakes and out of the groundwater. Not suggesting that today, but for your consideration. I'm glad it's coming back to this group. I appreciate Bert's point that we still have to have charges. We absolutely do. We always have. That's why I didn't say eliminate, but significantly reduced.
Can I follow up with some history through what the code says? Back before I was even here, there was a program to get a lot of the town onto a septic or sewer system. Some of those businesses and locations did not pay the system development charge. Some actually did. They just did not follow through with buying their grinder to tie into the system. So there are some places in town that, yes, they're paying the availability fee, which is the same availability amount as what a normal sewer customer would pay for their base rate. So to drill down into that. So yes, some of them have availability to tie into our system. They just need to buy their grinder, and they have been paying all of these. Some have paid their system development charge. Cool. There was a part of code that up to a certain date, it was a lower amount for the system development charge. Then it turned into what the current system development charge is. Now, I agree with most of the staff here that we do need to look at our system development charges. Yes, it would be better for the town residents to have a smaller, if not absolutely reduced, if they're part of the program, system development charge. And then all of our new construction, since they were not granted into potential programs, should have a larger system development charge to put on for future sewer use with opening carousels and availability to the rest of the town. Thank you.
I actually think that was fairly consistent with what I said.
Yes.
And I do recall writing that portion of the code. We were trying to get people to hook up. Some did, some didn't. But now things have changed. We got another grant, we got a big plant. I think your work is about to get real, and I think it's a great opportunity for the town, period. Thank you.
So walk me through the process if, let's use Ms. Tuck's, if her septic tank failed tonight, what would it cost her to hook up to the sewer line that runs in front of her house that she's been paying 15 years for?
It would be the cost of the grinder and the grinder box and the parts. And the development charge, I believe, is $3,300 for a 3/4 inch tap, which is, I believe, the standard for that area.
And that she's been paying 15 years and might have to pay another 5 years still?
But
If she doesn't do anything?
that
I
was
mean,
her option to do it that way. She could have connected 15 years ago.
okay.
Didn't have the money. I mean, a lot of people just don't have it.
And,
That's, I understand that, that's why.
And the cost of abandoning the septic.
Right. But she took that option to pay the basic rate and not hook up. I'm not sure if she has to be a grinder or if there's a gravity, I'm not sure. It all depends on elevation and everything else. So, but 15 years ago, the cost would not be anywhere near what it is now.
But now it sounds like there's almost $500,000 there for the first 33 people who want to hook up.
Yeah, but we
Right.
don't have it yet.
Okay.
So, you know, and if you asked what it would cost her right now
Right.
to hook up if she failed. At the grind station, I believe, is what, about 7? 6?
It's in that ballpark.
It's around 7,000 for the grind station. Abandonment and installation, we came up with a number between 12 and 15,000. That's abandonment and everything else, electrical.
So y'all think it's not good to use that money on 33 people? You're wanting to keep it and add it with some more 319 money to spread it out over more people? Is that what?
Yes, that's the plan, it's, you know.
Whenever that may happen?
This was given to us, it was extra money by EPA, and they said if we can use this and show that we can do it in a reasonable amount of time, there will be other 319 grants out there for us.
Okay.
And Martin County has been receiving several 319 grants.
Even though we haven't used it, we'll get more?
Yes, but
Yes.
you have to use it up.
And they look for the plan. That was part of the reason why we needed to be able to present this, so that they know that we have a structured plan to be able to move this forward.
Yes.
And so we'll, again, I'm reiterating, but through workshops, through being able to determine, have the master strategic plan, also being able to bring in all of the other necessary documents, things of that nature. It would come
I
here
understand that for
first.
new money
Correct.
Yeah.
coming
But-
in, new grants, but this
But
old stuff,
Even with the workshops, we need to sit down and figure charges.
right.
Development charges. But that's just something that we're not gonna, that's why we're just getting the structure approval today. With the workshops and everything else, with, you know, discussions with you guys and the council, we'll come up with a fee. We just don't have that yet.
Right.
And like, again,
Right.
you cannot just give,
Well, to me, we keep saying we want charges, we want to be able to get it flowing so we can charge that monthly, but yeah, we're
Right,
not
but
hooking
that's
up,
just part
so-
of it, you know, we gotta take the residents into consideration, so that's why we want to involve LPRUAC, planning, and the council in workshops, so we can figure out what is the most equitable way to treat everybody. Like Ms. Cooper was saying, there's grants out there for low income. You know, if you get the $30,000, you stay in your house for 10 years, it's forgiven. So, you know, that's what we're trying to figure out, but we just need a permission to adopt this program and let us move forward looking for these options for all the residents. You know, we're
What are
trying-
we adopting or approving today?
Just the program.
What does that mean?
So basically,
Presentation we just did.
the presentation we
We
did.
did a whole presentation.
Yes, I've read it,
So
Okay, so
basically,
that's what it's for.
but I don't know, what are the action items? What are you doing?
there is no action item. It's just, we're trying to start from a foundation.
concepts.
Solid concept, like you said, 100,000 or 300,000 view. We're just trying to get this started and then bring back these ideas back to the commission, council, of, you know, funding, financing, you know, how we're gonna treat, you know, treat each resident. It's just, we just need to start the program for permission, and then it's multiple little parts. And then once we get the okay for this one, then we'll start working on the financing. For like residents, low income, you know, some kind of grants and stuff. So we're just trying to get a good foundation to start this thing, so it doesn't fall over on us. And then we'll start working on cost, financing, and on other options moving forward for everybody.
Well, it
Like I
sounded like the DEP 319 grant can be used off-lake. I assume that maybe in Martin County, it was not always for waterfront properties.
Right.
Is any- So
Jennifer has researched this in depth, so.
well, and I've already sent a request for her correspondence, but if our entire project is septic to sewer, stuff going in the groundwater may well qualify. I mean, I don't want to aggravate the guys that give us the 319 grants, because we sure do want more, but to me, we ought to be able to, sure would be nice to move forward with the folks that have a line there and want to hook up right now.
So to address in town, I would have to look at each individual, and I have been looking at, everything. So there are quite a few gravity lines that are running in town. There are some pressure lines that are running in town. So every house there might be a little bit different. That would have to be addressed by each home, and what would be the best fit for that specific home.
Then working from that, would you consider a motion to ask staff to move forward with that analysis on the in-town home?
Protect program.
Well, but if we tie it into septic to sewer, that's going to be months, if not a year out.
So we have to separate the 319 from this program.
Well, that's what I was just saying.
They're totally different entities. So the septic to sewer would be utilizing 319 grant money or any other future grant money. But this program is the program, the backbone for the town of Lake Placid, so that we can apply for grants federally, state.
I'm not suggesting to derail the program. I'm suggesting to accelerate the 319 use for your voters in town, if possible. I mean, they've been paying over $3,000, and you've got the ability, it seems like. So the motion I would recommend is ask staff to find out if those in-town folks qualify for the 319 and come back with a proposed reduction in the system development charge, so we can give those folks a good deal to get them hooked up.
We actually had no objection to that originally whenever Mr. Harris presented that to us. Mr. Warner and I both did not have an objective to that. So
Wow, you just pulled it from the agenda.
No, our goal
Okay.
is to do what is best for each individual homeowner. If they have gravity available, then we would do
Sure.
Absolutely.
Low pressure, that in every, again, they all have to be assessed individually. Some of these grants, if it's gravity, we cannot use a septic to sewer to cover a gravity installation. So that has to be looked at individually. They're earmarked for specific things, and we have to follow those rules. I will go and I will dig really deep onto the language of all that. But that is my goal, and that's why I'm here, is to do
Okay,
the best I can.
let's say that it doesn't cover something in town, and someone on the lake wants to hook up tomorrow. Is that going to be part of that money? Can that be used?
We don't have it yet.
Okay.
So
We
if
have
they
it,
wanted to hook-
we have it, y'all just want to use it for the next one.
But I'm
right?
saying, but if they wanted to hook up today, it costs them come out of their pocket.
Gotcha.
But, you know, once we get the grant approved in our pocket, then they could use something by the
Okay.
lake.
But we'll probably need some type of ordinance. I am using my house as an example.
Okay.
Sewer line just went in front of me, I'd hook up tomorrow if you'd let me. Well, I am trying to get you, remember, I started in town and you poo-pooed that, and I'm saying.
I'm sorry,
if
say that
want it
again.
on the
Can you turn
lake,
that other
I've got
mic
one
off?
that's
It's just
on
a
the
bad
lake, whole
feedback.
street full of
So
them.
basically, the discussion
one.
today, you know, is to get everybody doing workshops. You know, moving down, this is what we'll discuss all this stuff at now. Today was only on the agenda, the presentation and approval for the structure of the program to move forward. All this is, everything's, like she said, just jumping forward. We need to sit down with everybody. Once we get approval for this, even if we don't get approval, we still gotta have to sit down and talk with everybody and work out a program, areas, and nothing has been decided on that.
I get that, but we all are sitting
Right,
down
but
and we're here.
jumping to ordinance and everything else is not part of this.
She just said staff agreed with me on the 319 in town.
Right.
We did.
If we can, let's,
Okay,
But-
Miss Worley would like to speak. She's had her hand up for a minute, so
Yes.
let's throw her.
But like I said, this is a.
Councilman Worley.
We have gotten in the weeds. Okay, today, we were supposed to come here to form a program, and 319 came up, and I have an adjustment for the recommended motion. But this is the guideline, not just for today, but it says for the next 10 to 15 years. How are we going to discuss these things? How are we going to bring it to the public so everybody has input? This is the program. It's not any decision makings. This just outlines if you have an issue or a grant or a project, this is how it will be handled. That's all we're doing today. That's all that's on the agenda, is that this is a program. It's like if you have any problems with the way the program is supposed to work, it's supposed to have transparency, it's supposed to be all-inclusive, it's not supposed to do, it's not in the weeds. It's not like what we're going to do with this or that. This is going to be a long discussion, and it's going to have to include a lot of workshops. But this is just, how do we do that? How do we start now, and how do we go forward? Because we don't have a plan. How are we going to handle grants? How are we going to do this? How are we going to meet with the public? This is just a plan, how we're going to do that for the next 10 to 15 years, and it can be changed. But this isn't about what we're going to do with 319 this time or next time, or who's going to, that's going to be in here when we have workshops. And then we advertise for all the people that are going to be involved to come and discuss it, not here today. So my point is that all we're doing is saying, how do we plan to move forward and include the public and include everybody, not just on this specific grant, that's why I have a recommended motion change, but on how do we move forward with all projects, all grants, and that's what this does. We have to have a program of how we're going to do this, because we've got a lot of responsibility right now. So I would go ahead and recommend that you do the recommended motion with the following change. So instead of just saying recommend of approval of new septic to sewer program, to move forward with 319 grant and future septic to sewer grants and projects. So we're not just addressing just 319. So then it would say, recommend of approval of new septic to sewer program to move forward with 319, the grant 319, and future septic to sewer grants and projects. And that's really what we're here for today, is just to do the program, not to talk about specific things. Thank you.
Thank you. Horace, do you want to speak? Yeah. Okay. You'll let Mr. Durns?
Horace Durrance, 12018 Lost Lake Drive. Y'all got a tough job, but this is a discussion, the way I understand it, this is a discussion today to find out what y'all got to deal with. You ain't got no, how you gonna make a motion with a discussion? You said discussion. Y'all are taking notes, or somebody's taking notes in this place right here. Those notes need to be read when you're thinking about this discussion. So you know what, but having a motion made now, it's kind of putting the horse way ahead of the cart. It's stupid is what it is. But I don't know how you're worried about financing. And I'm not sure how you gauge how much sewer runs down a pipe. I don't know that. But if you run the pipe where you got the people, go with money on the lakes. If you think that's how you're going to get money, go where money is at. It's closest to the plant that there is. You ran it all the way to the conference center, and nobody's hooked up to it. That's an empty pipe. I can understand it, never have. You had Placid Lakes, I ain't gonna go with the poor of you, but you got a lot of people on Lake June that you could have run it to. But it didn't go that way. It went a different direction, and nobody's hooked up to it. So you ain't getting no income from it. Now that started coming this way, I hope you're getting finance from it, paid. But y'all got a tough deal, and I'm not envying y'all at all. But y'all, you can't be browbeat. Y'all are all grown-ups, and you got your own opinions. And when things go on and on and on, y'all need to stop it. And everybody sit down, take a breath. Once an issue's been discussed, it's discussed. Turn it loose, because it's got to go through lots of committees before there's any motion, the gavel's down, this is what we're going to do. That ain't today. Y'all are just learning about what you're going to have to decide on. It's what I'm listening to, what's going on. It's my opinion. Good luck.
Thank you. Mr. Harris?
I think Deborah was close on her motion, and that is the new plan will include 319 grants, plural with an S. But I'd sure like to see you reserve the ability to pull this 319 grant out, because we got in-town people. Horace is right. We just sent a line out to the conference center. You got a lot of people on 2 lakes each side of the road that could hook up. I mean, it's ripe to hook up folks and give them a flat rate for water. I mean, for the sewer, if you don't have water. But you got a lot with water in town. I suggested going with the in-town folks because they've paid monthly forever, and they're right there on the side. That's low-hanging fruit. I would, regarding the proposed motion, I would suggest you edit one line at least in the presentation. We're not going to be able to treat everybody equally. I think that's the wrong word to use, and yes, I'm wordsmithing, but I think it ought to be fairly, because nothing's going to be equal in this world on our lakes and in our town. And then I would sure suggest you deal separately, if possible, you're going to find out, with the 319 and give those folks some relief in town. They are your voters. They should be primary. I think your lawyer will tell you You can charge different rates under different circumstances. So I'm not worried about discriminatory rate issues if you're charging somebody a lower system development. Bert, I didn't say zero this time, I said lower. That's going to be a discussion of how much it should be, but a lower system development charge to get them hooked up. Thank you.
And again on this, that needs to be brought into workshops, not here today. Any ordinances, any changes, we're asking about a program which is not set in stone. We can make changes to that. But that is going to be the start of our foundation. And this is going to be a long process with education, input, and everything else from all the committees and the council to get this right for, fees and connections and everything else. Sure, we could, during a workshop, we can discuss maybe a lower rate for in town, but this has nothing to do with today. Like I said, this have to be all worked out in a workshop, and then we'll be, put in the direction by town council which way they want to go. We're just trying to get something started as a base foundation so we have a reason to move forward, and then we expand on it with workshops, education.
But why did you go with the low pressure? I think you need to make the presentation, you need more information. And
the reason we went with low pressure is for houses on the lake where water doesn't run uphill. Nothing is set in stone. It's going to be all low pressure. It could be gravity if it's feasible and cost effective. But the septic to sewer around lakes, most properties are below ground level. They have the elevation, they have to be pumped up. So that's basically why the low pressure and the grinder stations are mentioned in this program. Like I said, with the water levels here, ground levels, gravity is not cheap. So, again, the town doesn't have those kind of funds and financing to go put a gravity system that costs two to three times as much as a low pressure. So we have to be fiscally responsible and responsible to try to make our commitment for the new wastewater plant, getting septics off the lakes. Sure, gravity will work on flatter areas and if your houses have elevations. We just did a connection in town. That was gravity. Next house couldn't do it. It was too low, it wouldn't get the slope. And basically it built at the same time with just a little bit different elevation. So, that's why we're focused on the grinder pumps and the low pressure, because most lakes' elevations are below the road level.
I just would like to see it say that, the most economical way that can be done.
Yes.
Because I don't care what the cost is, as long as you get it right.
Well, like I said, we do have to care about what the cost is. That's the fiscal responsibility. But no, if gravity's allowed to be there and can be done for a reasonable price, I have no problem with that. Because grind stations can be hooked up to gravity.
You might want to start, first of all, I agree with what Bert said about some's going to be gravity, some's going to be low pressure. We'll figure, that's an engineering and cost analysis. And actually we did that already when we first got the 40 million. Joe Barber insisted on going to these neighborhoods with engineers. So he's got that data of what gravity and what low pressure would cost, I think, in most of these neighborhoods. Those were ballparks. They are outdated and I'm sure changed, but it will give you an order of magnitude of the delta between gravity and low pressure in various neighborhoods. So you might want to, let's circulate that for the coming discussions. I would agree with Bert on, I'd still modify equal to fair, but yeah, move forward on the overall. but with the ability to pull the 319 out. If approving this motion will not let you pull 319 out, if it works for your in-town people, I will do a separate motion.
There is no commitment of 319 in this.
Do you have any heartburn with changing equal to fair on page 32 of 43?
I will be happy to change that, absolutely. And I just want to reiterate that this presentation was not about cost, funding specifically. It was not about the 319 grant allocation. That will all be discussed at workshops to determine what's best for every neighborhood, whether it be gravity, pressure. It's and that individualized, and I tried to be very specific. I'm open to change anything. That's why I brought this to you on what would work best when presenting, and I'll be happy to change fair.
And to be clear on your point, your analysis sounds just right for the septic to sewer. And when you were talking about we've got to look at gravity versus low pressure, that decision's already made in town. The lines are in.
Yes.
I'm just saying hook them up. That analysis doesn't need to be done in town.
Agreed. And so I'll just clarify again, I'm coordinator of septic to sewer, so my focus is specifically on that portion of it. I am researching and learning more, and there are many residences in town that do have gravity lines. They have been paying the $20 connection fee. We also have an ordinance that says that within 365 days, they're required to hook up. And they have not, and we've not enforced that. And some have been 8 years, 15 years. So those are, again, things that will need to be addressed in the future. New ordinances will need to be written and addressed, but at workshops going forward. And one big part of it is designating phases, neighborhoods, programs, best fit models. That's all part of it.
But most of those decisions have already been made on your low pressure, on your in-town lines that exist. They're done. I've made my point. Forgive me for being today.
Regarding the people that did not hook up within the town, some locations actually still do need a grinder station because of their height. They do not have adequate slope. So one of the funeral homes, I don't remember which one, but one of the funeral homes, they have paid the system of development charge, and they've been paying the availability fee, but they have never hooked up with a grinder station. And with that location, you do need a grinder. So that's why they just have not. They still have their septic tank because they have not been forced or mandated to hook up into our system.
I think it is a discussion. Do we have a motion? No? We don't have a motion, so we're still discussing, yeah.
I don't have a problem with the,
Talk to the mic, yeah.
with the boilerplate, setting it down.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not supposed to be tied to the 319. Somehow, it seems to be tied. Or not conditional. There's the conditions. I don't think there should be conditions.
They should not be tied to.
But and to add to it, if these folks have been paying their, what's the fee called?
The monthly connection
Availability
fee.
fee. You can't have too much mercy for them because they've decided not to hook up. It is what it is. They made their decision, and that's what they're living by. Now it does become much more affordable with the 319 grant money, and they should be allowed some consideration that they are ready to hook up. They are sitting there. You need revenue. That's the whole point.
Right, but then the
And-
other part is too, we don't know if there's a gravity in front of their house and they can get the slope. They might not even need a
So
grind
then,
station.
I mean, move the ball forward.
Yeah,
Somebody's got to figure it out. And the longer you wait, the longer the money sits there.
but again, town ordinance says, you know, if a pipe's in front of your house, you have a year to hook up. And town code, they have never enforced that. So, you know, they keep paying this availability fee.
Sure, but you got to balance the
Oh, no,
need and
I
the
agree.
act and
This-
say,
this-
let's go.
That's why we're trying to get the program going, so we can be,
You don't need this program to institute that.
no, I don't.
You don't.
Like I
And-
said,
And yes, we
I've
can
only been
agree
here a
maybe-
year, and I've been fixing other things that are higher on the level
Right,
than
but-
making someone connect. And if they're happy paying the fee, and right now in my, you know, where I'm working at, I'm fine with that until I can get to that point to start reworking code, you know, then we have to notify them. This would be a part of this program too.
To me, it would have been, and this is just hindsight, but you know where all the existing line, and I'm not focusing on you
Oh, no, I know
personally,
you're not.
I'm focusing on town staff.
Yeah,
You know where the lines are, you know where they're gravity, and you know where they're force main. And you know, again, who's been paying their system development fees. So to me, it sounds pretty simple to compile a list of, okay, here we go. We got A, B, and C. I understand there's a hierarchy of what the DEP would like to see, but
but
real
that-
dates and times are that this 400,000 probably could get spent in the next 6 months versus the next year and a half, trying to compile and waiting for the new service lines to go in around the lakes.
Yep.
So,
But again, we're just trying to get the program, the workshops, all this stuff will come up. And then we'll give us directions, and then we'll move towards that direction.
I don't know about the other members, but I'm in the business, so I understand it.
Yes.
But the grant part of this, we tend to get confused on which one's doing what, how, and we're spending an hour a month educating ourselves.
So basically on these grants, we're gonna investigate during the workshops. We're gonna get it all explained. So it's just, but this program, like I said, could handle that situation in town. You know, if the code says, you know, after 1 year of notification, you have to hook up. Now, if there's grant money then, we can probably help them, but then we have to make sure, which I think is possible, but I'm not positive. Jennifer will check into the parameters of the grant, saying where you have to use it. Like I said, this one came as some extra money they had. I think it has different parameters, and then a new one coming, because the new ones we can put, administration fees in it. This one was just a little pot of money they had sitting there and gave us. So, you know, it might come with different parameters and same kind of grant, but then a new 319 grant. So when you write the grant, you put in there what you want to use it for too. This one was just money given to us. It was leftover. It's hard to say, but we're all happy to get it. It's just,
right.
We just got to follow their mandates and see what happens.
I think the confusion is between all the different grants that you have.
Yes,
It's
yes.
not how the grants work.
It's crazy. And they're all connected one way or another, because the original 40 million, this is the areas. Placid Lakes, we're not even going to think about touching them, and plus they're so far away, you know what I mean? So that shouldn't even be in that $40 million grant, plus they're privately owned. So, but our other areas, yes. Tomoka wasn't in that, well, I think it was, because it was already the LPRUAC area. But there's other areas, so it's just, but like I said, we're trying to focus what is in there that makes sense. But so, just basically, like Bert said, 100,000 foot overview. This is all this is. And then if we get council's approval, then we will move on to workshops. Then we'll get a path and direction with discussion, and instead of trying to, try to figure it out here in an hour or two, we can sit there and pick an area, and we'll work on that one workshop. Next one would pick something else. We need to get education out there, make the citizens comfortable saying, okay, no, we're not coming to your house tomorrow. You know what I mean? This could be 15 years down the road. Just for example, Catfish, there's no water line, there's no sewer line on it. We're not going to be out there for a long, long time. So, but around here, Lake June Road, that's got a water line, it's on the lake, that's top priority.
Is it possible to get a report that shows what addresses not hooked up, what's on gravity, what force mains are there, and who's been paying it? Only the system development fee people who've been paying them.
Well, we can run a report who's paying the availability fee, but we'd have to do some work to find out what's in front of their house. Is it high, low pressure, or gravity? But we do have those reports saying who's paying the availability fee, and I don't know if it'll tell you how many years they've been doing it, or no. It just says that they're paying it. But then we have to go back through our prints and go back and find out.
I only want to see it for one reason.
Yes.
Because you're going to need it anyways.
Oh, absolutely. But like I said, that's why we're trying to get this program. Jennifer's going to be doing education to the public. And again, like you said, you're going to need this. People are going to ask this. But we're just trying to get the program off the ground.
And it'd be nice if you could then know which ones are on possible gravity. That would save $7,000 you could apply to another place.
Yeah, but see, if you're on gravity and you have a septic, you still have to pay for the abandonment. And you're still going to have to pay for the lateral coming out. It might not cost as much as the $7,000 for the grind, but there is cost, tap fee, development fee, and everything else.
Yeah, you just save the cost of the grinder pump.
Yeah, but I bet you only save probably $2,000.
Oh, I thought you said 7, I'm sorry.
Well, no. By the time you put your lateral in,
Yeah.
you make your tap, excavate your yard, because with a low pressure, it's just a directional drill. If it's a lateral for gravity, you have to open cut the field in your front yard. It's 6 inch usually, and they have to go from your house out to the sewer main.
This is down to the motion or none.
So basically, after the report, my recommendation is for the LPRUAC Advisory Board to approve the septic to sewer program, and so I could take
You want
that
to
to
add
town
the word
council.
in fair instead of equal?
Yes, we can make those changes before we take it to town council.
Okay.
He read it into the record. I don't remember. I'm sorry. I'd tell you if I knew.
What did you need?
Exactly which slide that I'm changing.
Yep, I just had it here.
So basically, where you got equal, change it to fair.
I think it was 33.
And any other changes, suggestions?
That was 32. All homes shall be treated equally. I want to change that to all homes shall be treated fairly.
It's either that or delete the sentence, one or the other.
Okay? So,
My context was in terms of the process of how it would be rolled out.
That makes sense.
So,
okay.
Problem is,
Gotcha.
as a
Okay.
taxpayer, I don't.
Then we can talk about a 319 too, on top of that, right?
like I said,
I don't
this,
think we
And
need
using
to
that
talk
money.
about 319 more today.
Okay.
like I said, this is Nothing locked in with grants, monies, anything. It's
Okay.
just starting a program.
All right, Mr. Harris, one other thing?
Provided the understanding, or amend the motion if needed, that says we can deal separately with this first 319 grant. And don't let it get wrapped up in the process that sounds like a ton of hearings and workshops.
Okay.
And my suggested motion on 319 is gone again, would be that you ask staff to bring back a program to use the 319 grants on the existing town customers paying, historically paying the system, I'm sorry.
Again, that should be
System
brought up in the
availability
workshop.
fee.
That should be brought up in the workshop and get direction from this board and town council. Like I said,
We got to start somewhere.
Right.
but we can start in the workshops.
Well, I disagree with that.
Well, we agree
I
to
disagree with
disagree.
So either do the 319 motion first, or do a carve out of this motion so you can get to the 319. I'm scared to death staff is going to, you see how hard he's pushing, come back and say.
No, I'm
"We
pushing
already
against
voted. We're not
someone's,
gonna do the 319.
who's the public now, giving it, telling a council or an advisory board what they're supposed to be doing. You can give your opinion, your thoughts,
Well, that's all I've done today, all day long.
but they are listening to you as you were, if you were still the town attorney.
No, I think everybody in the room
That's
knows
why I'm
not.
pushing a little bit. And I believe that it should go to workshops with you guys, town council, and then we get a direction and we move from that, and recommendations from our new town attorney.
And consider the new town attorney, but just tell them to get started on it, bring it back to you, workshop it all you want, but it ought to start here.
To give council an update, there are 76 customers that are on the availability charge code.
But is that in town or is that the whole system? That's the whole system, not just town. So that's out in the, you know,
So 76
in the county, too.
customers that you guys have been sitting on. that
And
you gotta-
I will determine which ones are gravity versus pressure. I will look and get the exact numbers for those for the next time we come together on that.
76, and there's allegedly enough money to cut that number in half, right?
I cannot promise that. There's far more gravity running through town than there is pressure, so I don't
Right.
want to commit to.
Yeah, can't give you a number.
Well, when it's used up, it's used up,
But
I
it's
would
not,
say.
it's just not gravity, it's the elevation of the home, so. So if the, you know, the elevation of the home's lower than the road, then it's a gravity system.
Fair point, but if you use the cost of the pressure hookup, you're going to cover what gravity available
Yes.
that works, the same cost. Same,
Yes.
it's probably a lower dollar.
Might be a
If a
little
gravity
less.
system can be hooked up easily without a pump,
Yes,
obviously,
no.
then it's
Electrical
probably
and
going to
everything
cost
else.
less than the
Right,
pump.
right.
So if you just use the cost of a pump system to be installed for all of them, I think Matt's statement is correct. You could eliminate half.
Yes.
Okay, I'll entertain some motions, Joe. Don't mean not look at you.
I make a motion that we approve the, whatever you want to call it, your proposal with the changes that we've talked about, and with nothing about the 319 involved in it.
Okay, is there a second? I'm going to fail the motion for lack of a second. Okay. Beg your pardon? Oh. Okay. Just give us a moment.
think there's a lot to digest.
Absolutely.
And yes, it's simple to say, we just focus on the program.
But we don't have enough information on the program. Where are they going to start? How much is it going to cost?
Pam, because it's start of a program, all that information is what we're gonna build on this. We don't have that information yet, but we need the program to start. It's
Right
not-
now, we are putting shoes on the runner before the marathon. So you have to start with the very basics, regardless of the grant we get or the such. We are going to apply this program as our standard operating procedure going forward on each grant. So that way there is a plan in place to break the money down, and it would be not equal, but fair.
But again, this stuff needs to be discussed in a workshop. This,
And that was the central idea, is if we can get the basic program, then we would come together, find a cost structure, we would designate neighborhoods and phases and get that rolled out, and that would all be done in cycles as a group with approval. That's the whole point of having the basic program, was so that we have the ability to come together to send out bid requests so we can find out what a plumber's going to cost, what an electrician's going to cost, so we can start gathering all of this, and then we can come together and determine costs.
Okay.
And work out a fee schedule. But without a program in place, we can't move any of that forward without knowing.
Sure. Okay, can we take a 10-minute recess? Sure. So I don't want Jack to miss out. I need to stretch my legs. We've never gone this long.
Coming back.
Yeah, recess. Cuff him to that chair.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it seems to me that what they're proposing is, there's nothing in this meeting in money to do this area first.
There's nothing wrong with it. It's just getting it to, let's move on to same motion.
No, that is not my doing. That was
With the one change, and to ensure that workshops are set up within a month.
Good call, Jack. Call the meeting back to order.
How long you believe it would take you to compile information and preliminary process for the 319?
You would like the 76 homes that are currently paying, you want a breakdown of?
Would love to have that information.
Sorry, I don't hear so well. I'll come a little closer.
I made the statement that this money needs to get utilized, and you don't have platform at the moment. So you need the program instituted so that you can have platform.
Correct.
That's fine, but I feel they could be worked on simultaneously. So I'd like to see a workshop set up inside of 30 days, and I'd like to see a preliminary plan of how that 319 money is going to get utilized. And somewhere in there, we've got to make a motion to approve the program. But I'm afraid I'm going to make it contingent on how you respond.
Can I say something?
Sure.
It's interesting because that's actually what Mr. Elliott was saying that he thought would be a good idea. So if I'm not speaking out of turn, I'm looking at my team. I don't think that's unrealistic. I believe that we would be able to definitely pull that off. You want to go ahead, Matt, with some of your thoughts on it?
Yeah, we were discussing that maybe our next LPRUAC meeting, April 21st, we should do it as a workshop. So we can flesh out all this stuff and talk about the 319, get that money spent or not get that money spent, set a policy, whatever.
Next regional.
And there's so many other things. It's not a one-time thing. I understand, so.
The 319 we were never going to make any formal decisions until this plan was in place. There was completely separate entities. This was strictly, again, just to get the framework, and then we would schedule.
I think our deal is 319's money's been sitting out there. It's like we've been dressed in our camouflage and there's no hunting season. You know, we want to see that being used so we can get some revenue coming in.
And I'm going to dive right in and do the study on the existing homes that have been paying the connection fee, and I'll determine which ones how would be best suited for them. And then we'll look at some other areas, and I can pull that together very quickly.
Good.
But you have to realize, sure, we can determine if there's gravity out front or force main. We can't determine if the house has the elevation. You know, we'd have to have someone come out, an engineer or a company come out and give me elevations to tell me if it's feasible. But we can tell you if there's a force main out front or gravity. And if it's gravity, you know, you can put grind stations on that. But if it's force main, they're all grind stations. But the option is, you know, the home's pre-existing, you know, Sure, you can probably go by and look at it, but there's no guarantee that you're gonna get your slope. You know, so that's something we can't tell you if the house can be, you know, a gravity or forced main.
I think it's more the process and a path, and who's going to receive or do. I do think consideration needs to be to the ones paying the system development fee. And I do think maybe they need a reduced connection fee.
Well, like I said, that's all workshops though.
And so I think that staff could assemble some sort of recommendation to that workshop, bring it to the workshop.
Oh, yes,
just
we have a
like we're
workshop,
thinking,
yes, I would agree.
and
We
see
can
where we
even-
can go.
We can even bring what's already been paid. We wouldn't discuss it in an open setting, but for you to be able to see for each homeowner, there was the system charges that were there, what's already been paid into that for how long. We can provide all of that documentation where you get a full snapshot view. Those are not hard things for us to do, just takes a little time. So if you gave us until the next regional utility meeting, we could properly notice that. It would keep with your schedule. It's already properly noticed where anyone from the planning board, they could attend, and also from council, they are also able to attend. So we would open that up, properly be able to advertise that out. So we could definitely do that.
What was the date you said?
April 21st?
Well, if you needed to push it out past the regional utility, when is the next regional utility meeting?
21st, I think is what we said.
No,
I think I'm wrong on that date, Matt.
April 2nd.
I'm sorry, Matt. I think I gave you the wrong date.
Oh, that's right. Well, it's notice or something. You have to give notice.
Yes, it would be the 7th. I apologize. I gave him the wrong date.
Does it
I was
need to-
looking way further out.
Yeah, does it have to be that long? Could it be March or?
Well, we're in March now, so it's the 3rd.
Do a workshop and then we can do a regular meeting?
I mean,
so we
you
can
could
vote?
potentially, if it would give us enough time for at least 2 weeks, you could do it I'm sorry, yes, you're right, you did say that, March 23rd through 27th, if you want to look at your schedule then. Potentially, that would give us 3 weeks, would you, okay.
27th is out for me.
That whole week? Okay. So if we did it, we would need to do it either the Monday or Tuesday, 23rd or 24th. Or you could do it immediately the following week, 30th and 31st, but to prepare? 1, 2, 3. So if it was the 31st, that would be exactly a month. Maybe not quite 30 days, but
24th or 31st, guys? What do you want?
I'm okay with the 24th.
I am too, so.
Me too.
Staff, good?
Okay.
So workshop the 24th, and then we'll have our regular meeting on the first Tuesday, which would be the 7th, right? Okay,
you're good? Okay.
okay.
What time?
Do you want to schedule it first, like right now, so it's the same time, gives you time to vet it out?
1:30 is good for me. Good for y'all? Staff, I don't know how staff hours work, so I don't accrue overtime and stuff like that, so if we need to come.
They would be here.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I could pull the information together very quickly.
Yeah.
Are there any other detailed snapshots you would like me to include
Okay.
with that?
To 1:30?
Okay.
And any other additional information you're looking for. And if you think about it after this, that's fine. Just email Mr. Warner, and he would be able to filter that to make sure it goes to the necessary party.
Okay, and that'll be all open discussion for that thing, correct?
Send us all your questions. We
We
want
just
to be
can't
able
vote
to.
on stuff, right? Or can we? Can we vote on stuff?
Not at a workshop.
I didn't think so, yeah.
But you would be prepared then, that way
Sure.
whatever is presented to have it the following. So that's actually a really good plan.
Yeah, then at the next LPRUAC meeting, do you make recommendations, and we can take them to town council?
Workshop on the 24th, next LPRAC meeting on the 7th. 130 for both of them.
I believe I actually wrote the code that would implement something like that. Any reason we wouldn't circulate that in advance? The code changes required to implement this. They either have blanks in it that have to be discussed, of course.
I think Mr. Warner needs to be able to look at it.
He's had it for several months. It's the one that you and I dusted up about. It's my suggestion. It's not a staff suggestion. I'll circulate it.
What was, I didn't understand. I missed what you said, so I guess just leave it, or? I didn't hear what you said.
I've already written a good bit of the code required to do this.
Okay.
I'll circulate it to you for your consideration.
Okay.
It is not ready for adoption. It would give you something to talk about, a format, at your workshop.
Okay.
And this would have to be presented
Would it
to
be
the new
possible for
attorneys,
me
too.
to get that so
Absolutely.
I can use it? Could I get that from you?
I get it.
That would help me prepare.
Going to adopt anything, or going to workshop it first?
I think we're back at Jack's motion. If, as long as we have the workshop set up with the criteria we asked for, then I can reiterate his motion, or he can reiterate his motion.
I make a motion that we approve Jennifer's presentation with the one change that we talked about, and I think that's it. And no, obviously no discussion about the 319 in that.
Can I suggest, how do we include gravity in the verbiage in the program, equally to the pumps?
Yes, okay. I agree with that.
Okay. Did you get that, Tina?
So that's why I included a couple of the slides in there showing the difference between gravity and pressure and why it will work in some places and why it won't. And again, each area would be addressed individually. That's why we would have a meeting with the homeowner, the contractors, and part of the workshops would be looking at those neighborhoods and determining what best fits each of those as a whole.
I don't think we need to workshop that.
Well,
I think it's part of the due diligence of implementing the system. That's all. From what I thought I heard earlier was the septic to sewer looked like it was all grinder stations. Didn't look like it allowed for gravity. And we know that gravity somewhere in town is available.
Yes, no, there was mention in there, but it was basically around the grinder stations, because the houses around the lake, they're
Sure.
gonna be grinders. There's nothing you can do
So,
about it.
so there's nothing prohibiting.
So let's get back to the motion. We'll get that when we get to discussion, okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So did you get the motion?
I think it's approve Jennifer's presentation with the one change, no discussion about 319, and how to include gravity.
Versus septic to sewer. Right?
Yes.
Low pressure.
Gravity too low pressure.
Gravity too low pressure.
Gravity too low pressure.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. No,
No.
no. Include gravity in the program. And we're being told that it already is included. Didn't sounded to me.
But it's based on feasibility and cost.
I think the motion should say that it does include gravity hookups.
Yes.
Agreed?
Yes.
Motion maker?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
If you,
Jack Conley,
well, we need a second. I want you to read the motion.
I'm sorry.
Can you read the motion, what it
Sure.
was, what you got down?
Okay, so I have approve Jen's presentation with the one change, no discussion about 319, how to include gravity to low pressure versus septic to sewer.
Right, I think you need to identify the change, not just say the change.
I think it was it change the word from equal to fair or fair to
Yes.
equal?
Equal to fair.
Equal to fair.
Equal to fair.
That's fair.
Right, it should just be includes gravity hookups, not gravity to. Look,
Okay. Is there a second?
I said,
It's been moved and seconded. Would you, any discussion? Now we can go back to that. Thank you.
Are you ready for the roll call?
Any more discussion? No discussion? No. Poll the board, please.
Jack Conley,
Yes.
Tal Rancourt,
yes.
Matt Elliott,
Yes.
Pam Brewer,
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
And the last thing I believe is director's report.
Utility Director report. Yes, sir.
We'll make it quick.
No rush.
This is February 2026. Projects, fire hydrant flow maintenance and painting has been completed. Wastewater ordinance for light industry is with the attorney. Master utilities plan contract is with the attorney. Lift station pumps started purchasing and installing. We come across a situation where most of our lift stations were running on one pump. So we had to purchase some pumps because they're designed for 2 pumps. So we're working on that. Septic to sewer program completed and waiting for approval. Wastewater treatment plant construction is still on pace, but completion in March, this month. Camping conference applied for SRF loan for a water line and bulk agreement, that's completed. South plant lift station, completion is in March. Main and Marquardt lift station, completion in March. Panoni is still overseeing technical services. Grant updates, FDEP 319. We've been awarded, but we're just waiting for paperwork. And that's it.
When do you expect the new storage station to come online? Wastewater treatment plant, I'm sorry.
March for next week or so.
Are you expect it to be done and come online?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir. So we get the south, and Marquardt and Main have to come on at the same time, so we can accept the new flows. So they're all gonna come on basically the same time.
Okay.
Our biggest issue right now, we're waiting on Duke, that's all, Duke Energy.
Okay. Now, what about the, since they've started the new police station, when do you expect to be installing the water and sewer for?
Oh, they're doing it. I haven't got a time schedule on that.
Okay.
Contractor will be installing the grind station and water line.
Well, you have the money for it, right? That 192,000 or approximately?
And the chlorine stuff at Tomoka, that's all done and gone with? Finished?
Yeah, we turned it over from gas to liquid. That was probably done October or September last year.
All right. And what's going on at the Serena well? I know so much of water being flushed there today.
Serena, it was Magnolia, we put the new pump in, get the other well going. Serena, we had some issue with chlorine residual, that was about it, everything's fine.
You good on staff and all that? You got plenty of meter readers?
Yep, basically at full staff right now.
Anything else from the board? Any 319 questions or, no? Okay.
I got one. Talking about the meter readers, how are you making out with installing the self-reading meters or whatever you want to call them?
Yeah, the cell and radio meters, automatic reads, they're doing it a little bit at a time, in between their reads and repairs and stuff.
Approximately what percentage of the total number of meters have been?
Where'd you go?
No. Okay. Okay, don't worry about it.
Aren't those meters supposed to alert the homeowner when there's a potential leak or whatever? Or how do we get set up on that?
I don't believe that software's been set up yet, has it?
We have not purchased that part of the package.
Okay. Does the town get an alert?
So eventually it will get there, there's not enough in the ground to, justify the cost.
Does the town get an alert?
No,
if
we don't have the package, no, we don't get alerted yet.
Okay.
But we do see high reads, when we do reads, meter reads, it'll show. We can pull a audit on it, and they can tell you if there's a leak or not.
Okay, Mr. Harris?
Yes, Mr. Warner just mentioned that the town attorney is working on the contract for the master plan or not master plan, the facilities report, and it in its body requires staff meetings and designation of the next two projects, expansion projects. I would encourage a motion that says those projects will not be submitted by staff until approved by this body and the town council. When you finish chewing on that, I've got one more question for you.
Did you get that, Tom?
No, it's an $18,000 contract where you're asking somebody in Orlando, I believe.
This has been approved by town council already.
And I'm suggesting you direct staff to bring the proposed expansion to you for approval. They don't get to decide where you're running utility lines. You do, council does. Pardon? I read it unless you changed it. Did you take it out?
So the whole goal for the regional utility master plan is to look at what we currently have, to be able to compile everything together, and then to develop a path forward. Nothing would happen without you all being the prevailing party to be able to make those decisions and the recommendations that go to council.
If that's been taken out, that's fine.
And what does a master plan cost?
Well,
to be
a
done
true
with?
master plan, and Mr. Warner, you can comment any time, but is anywhere between $500,000 to $600,000.
Okay.
We're getting the beginning portion of that, so it's just phase one is what it's called, and we're getting it for $18,500, I think, something like that.
Big difference.
It is, but again, it's just the beginning portion. This is just to help get us started, because this was a requirement when we've been having some of the conversations. We've had this conversation here before, and it actually came before them.
So do they build the plan, or they just take what we have, regurgitate it, and spit it back to us?
No, they will come out and they will look at what we have. They will look at everywhere where we need to go. They will take and look at our $40 million wastewater treatment plant. They'll look at that original language, what was in there. They will look at everything we have for utilities related, and then help us start going forward with that. All of the decisions are made here and also with council, but Bert, that's how it's always been done.
Actually, the plan that I recall reading, the contract I recall reading, you broke it into two phases. Phase one is to have a facility plan. What you got, that's where they take our information and regurgitate. That's the first $18,000. And then you were going over the contract, the bid amount, the statutory cap on not bidding.
No, what, the one you're referring to was put in there by mistake. That was a draft from somebody else.
Oh, so that's what I asked?
Yes, no, I'm just clarifying. So with the new contract, it states the 18,500 or whatever, and that's it, and there's scope.
For what?
It's already been approved by council, and legal has already reviewed it, and it's already been sent and submitted to them.
The board needs to know what's going on. What was that approved for? Is it a facilities plan?
No, it's a utility master's plan.
A master plan.
Right, because unfortunately, we got the wrong one in there when we brought it last time. It was a sample template from another community. Then he sent us the proper one, which just states the 18, whatever, and his scope of work, nothing else in there.
Well, actually, I saw the first and the second. I didn't see a third, which is what you're describing.
Right.
Because the first and second were both facilities plans.
No.
They were regurgitated.
So this one is the utility master plans, what's on the contract for 18 something and is five.
Right, I'd love to see that one too. I'll send you.
Okay. Pam, do you need to say something?
I think the confusion is when it came before this council or committee, it had $31,000. And you passed it, it went to the council. They had questions, so they tabled it and said it doesn't add up, it doesn't make sense. Bring it back at the next council meeting, which they did. That one was a true utilities master plan. It was 18,000. So it's not, doesn't have what he's talking about. It's simply a utilities master plan. So.
I just thought they would know that.
Well, they did. They came before them in January.
If it did, it was a different contract. My second issue, and last, is you started this meeting somewhere asking how are we doing on this plant construction? That should be an easy question, and it got punted again. Sun shouldn't set 2 more days before that question's answered. It's a lot of money. You've got a contract. You've got change orders. It's an AIA. So at the bottom of the last change order it tells you the contract price. What is it? Question 1. 2, we've got a series of deposits we've received from the state. Add them up. What is it? We need to know, this board needs to know, are we upside down or not on that plant construction? By now we ought to know from the contractor, are there issues coming forward? You may need a special meeting to wade into that, but I would suggest you ask the staff to email each of you the answers to those 2 issues. That's not a hard question. That's math. And if we don't know the answer to that, yet again,
Mr. Harris.
Other bodies ask for that information.
Mr. Harris, because we are a working staff, and as I stated earlier, we just had a meeting this morning with Pannoni, and yesterday we spoke with the banking institution. You were not here for the beginning portion of that, so you're trying to direct this council when we've already addressed them on the matter, and staff are moving just as quickly as we can to ensure that they're getting proper and accurate information instead of inaccurate information. So we have been in meetings. You don't direct this meeting, with all due respect. The staff are working very diligently, but when we literally just had a meeting yesterday with the banking institution and we are following what our council has directed us, and we are also meeting with Pannoni this morning, preparing to be able to come before this council here, I think what you're asking is unrealistic, and what I expressed to Mr. Comley respectfully was that we will have this information at the council meeting on Monday.
Nice speech, still didn't answer my question, still simple math question.
Charlotte, is that something you can just email it to us on Monday, as well as the council?
We will actually have it probably before that.
Okay.
I have another status call with our current attorneys regarding the situation.
Okay.
We have a call with them on Friday morning, and we also have a follow-up call with the potential banking institution with Cruise Bank that we're using.
Okay.
There are still variables that we are trying to work through.
Okay, good. I think that's good business. Just we don't want to be hit with, hey, it's another $4 million because the concrete was wrong or something. You know?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anything else? You want to get to request? Nothing? Okay. Anything from the public? Everybody's ready to go home? Okay, thank you all. I think it was a good meeting, and don't forget the workshop coming up, and also our regular meeting. Come with your questions, please. Thank you. Meeting adjourned.